Chapter 392. Unbeknownst to them, at this time in the manor, the little rabbit had just been carried into the bedroom. Xiangyi's alcohol tolerance was excellent, and she didn't make a fuss when drunk. Shui put her on the bed, and the little girl obediently rolled up the quilt and covered herself tightly. Shui couldn't help but laugh and raised his hand to pinch her little face. "You're really worrisome." Meow meow meow. Xiao Naofu woke up from its sleep and saw Shui carrying the stupid woman back to the room. It hurriedly ran in, stopped at Shui's feet, and roared fiercely at him. Shui lowered his eyes and indifferently said, "Go back to your cat's nest and sleep." Xiao Naofu, meow. Meow meow. "Don't think this Huhu doesn't understand. You just want to trick me away, and then do this to the stupid woman." It clung to the edge of the bed, and with great difficulty, it jumped up and sat on Xiangyi's pillow with a posture that said, "This Huhu is not leaving today." Xiangyi was awakened by the noise and opened her eyes in a daze. The figure of the little cat appeared in her vision, and she habitually hugged it in her arms. "All of you." Xiao Naofu. Oh, it raised its chin provocatively at Shui. "Emph. See that? This Huhu is the rightful wife. This is the Huhu that the stupid woman loves the most." Xiao Naofu's tail swayed gently, curling around her fingers, and rubbing its head against Xiangyi's soft skin under her collarbone. It coquettishly said, "Meow meow." Xiangyi closed her eyes again and gently coaxed, "All of you be good." Shui's long and narrow eyes narrowed dangerously, and he sneered. "Want to be sterilized?" Xiao Naofu trembled in fear. However, although its IQ was only equivalent to a child of a few years old, children had a natural instinct to know who would protect them, and who they could be pampered in front of. The white, soft, and cute kitten stuck out its little butt awkwardly and squeezed into Xiangyi's shirt through her collar. Only half of its little head was exposed, and it stuck its tongue out at Shui. "Lulu lube dog man, this Huhu is not afraid of you." Shui's temples twitched violently. The young lady was drunk, so of course he couldn't take advantage of her. Therefore, he really couldn't do anything about Xiao Naofu now. However, the man was calm and composed as he smiled faintly. "Xiao Naofu, I've recently discovered that Sister Yi's casserole is especially good. The stewed meat is especially mushy." That black-bellied smile, that dark temperament, he was definitely a villain. "Xiao Naofu, you're not going to do anything when it comes to men and women, are you?" However, Xiangyi felt something furry and warm pressing against her body. It was a little itchy and a little heavy. The young lady murmured and wanted to move Xiao Naofu away, but she was blocked by her clothes. She subconsciously pulled at her clothes. Shui's breathing became slightly erratic as he pressed down on her hand. In a daze, Xiangyi felt the hot temperature on the back of her hand. Her brain lost control of its logic, and her body reacted quickly. She grabbed Shui's wrist and pulled, and pressed in the blink of an eye. She had Shui pressed against her side, imprisoning and subduing her. In fact, Shui didn't resist at all. Otherwise, the drunk Xiangyi wouldn't have succeeded so easily. Xiangyi struggled to blur her eyes, as if trying to identify Shui. A certain actor smiled at the kitten. "This is called acting, understand? Xiao Naofu. Woof woof woof. UF** King Dog Man." Shui didn't get to gloat for more than 3 seconds before someone knocked on the bedroom door. "Sister, are you asleep?" Chapter 393. In an instant, Shui's expression froze slightly. Even Xiao Naofu was so scared that its tail curled up. The man and cat looked at each other and surprisingly reached an agreement. They didn't make a sound. Fortunately, the brothers outside the door were very gentlemanly in front of their sister, and wouldn't barge into her room without permission. "She should be asleep, right?" Xiangqi said uncertainly. Xiangyu's nose twitched and he sniffed. "Seems like she made supper." Xiangqi was overjoyed. "I'll go to the kitchen and take a look." Xiangyu was afraid that he would steal food, so he followed closely behind him. The two of them went out of the kitchen and found the food in the fridge. Xiangqi lowered his voice. "Fourth brother, don't make a sound. Let's split the spoils." Xiangyu put one hand in his pocket and pressed down the hood of his hoodie with the other. He said a few words indifferently. "Big brother is outside." Xiangqi was instantly terrified. If it was only the black-bellied old fox second brother outside, he would still dare to repeatedly jump on the edge of death. However, Xiangyu was here. Xiangyu said righteously, "Am I the kind of person who would secretly eat behind my brother's back? What's the most important thing when a family is together? Sharing." Xiangyu clicked his tongue. He wouldn't believe his nonsense. Since they were already here, let's eat. The four brothers sat down around the remaining small plate of food. Xiangli had already familiarly gone to the wine cellar to get wine. Xiangyu was about to compete and consciously didn't touch the wine. Xiangqi said arrogantly, "Fourth brother, pour wine for your brothers." Xiangyu glanced at him. Xiangqi said, "What are you staring at? Keep staring and I'll beat you up. You're the youngest, so of course you should pour it." Xiangyu said in a disdainful tone, "Why didn't you say that when little sister was here?" He had never seen Xiangqi order Xiangyi around, and only knew how to put on airs as third brother in front of him. Xiangqi said righteously, "How can you compare to little sister?" Xiangyu. "Fine, there's nothing wrong with that." He speechlessly poured wine for his brothers. In the bedroom, Xiangyi stared at Shui for a long time. She seemed to recognize him. She buried her head in his chest and sniffed his shirt. Shui's body tensed up and his eyes darkened. After confirming that it was the familiar smell of laundry detergent, Xiangyi felt relieved and fell asleep. Oh. Did this mean that he wasn't treating him as an outsider? This realization made Shui feel both amused and helpless. He broke free from Xiangyi's shackles and pinched her little cheeks. Xiao Naofu meowed in protest. "Be a man." Shui sneered. "If I didn't want to be a human, you would have been stewed into a kitten." She shrank her little head into Xiangyi's arms vigilantly, which made Shui's thin eyelids twitch violently. He really deserved a beating. After a few minutes, when the heat in his heart had dissipated, he gently tucked Xiangyi in and went back to his room along the balcony. In the living room, Sangchen drank 2 glasses of wine, but his brows were still furrowed. He put down the wine glass and walked toward Shui's room. He knocked on the door with a blank expression. A moment later, the door was pulled open. Shui was only wearing a pair of dark blue home pants. He was wiping himself with a towel. "You're back. What's the matter?" Sangchen walked past him and looked into the room with a sharp gaze. The large bed in the room was clean, and even the thin blanket was neatly folded. Sangchen felt relieved and said with a straight face, "Rest early." Suddenly, there was the sound of chaotic footsteps behind him. Sangchen turned around and saw his sister coming out of her room, hugging a soft pillow with a lace rim. She walked toward Shui's room as if sleepwalking and bumped into his arms. Chapter 394. Xiao Naofu chased after her, meowing nonstop. Shui subconsciously wrapped her arms around her waist. Xiao Naofu bumped into Sangchen's trouser leg, and was so scared that its fur stood on end. The surrounding temperature seemed to drop rapidly. Sangchen's eyes were cold as he looked at the drunk Xiangyi, and then at the innocent-looking Shui. "Explain," Sangchen said coldly. Shui's mentality was really good, and her expression didn't change. "Sister E is sober now. Big brother, remember to remind her to be responsible for me?" Sangchen. At the dining table, Xiangyu and Xiangqi were dumbfounded. F***ck, there's such a thing. He actually dared to be mischievous in front of Big Brother. Xiangli pushed his glasses, and a trace of worry flashed in the depths of his eyes. From a logical point of view, the room that Shui chose was one that Xiangyi had stayed in before, so it was barely reasonable. After getting drunk, she followed her body's memory, and wanted to go back to her original room to sleep. But from an emotional point of view, it was obvious that their family's pampered little rabbit had self-taught herself to nibble on the grass around her nest. Sangchen's entire person exuded a threatening chill, and his eyes were sharp, like snow-white blades under the light. The danger multiplied. "You are courting death." The man enunciated each word sharply. His well-defined fingers rolled up his snow-white sleeves. Not far away, Xiangqi and Xiangyu were terrified and quickly hid far away, afraid of being implicated. Xiangli got up and slowly walked forward. Sangchen sneered. "What? You want to speak for him?" Am I that kind? Xiangli smiled like a sly old fox. Go ahead, I'll take my sister away. Don't scare her. Xiangqi scolded. Second brother, you scheming boy. I think you want to rub her face while she's drunk. Xiangyu, who was next to him, felt his fingertips itch. His sister's face felt really good when he pinched it. But when he grew up, he couldn't just pinch him as he pleased. He made a prompt decision and strode over. Let me do it. Xiangqi scolded. Do you know how to take care of girls? You're so clumsy, let me do it. Then, Shui found that Xiangyi's brothers were fighting among themselves. He was not nervous about being beaten up at all. He leaned lazily against the door frame as if he had no bones. He watched the show with a faint smile, but his hand was still on Xiangyi's waist. Xiangyi was tipsy and dizzy. She could barely stand after standing for a long time, and instinctively leaned on Shui's shoulder. Enough. Sangchen felt that they were too noisy. Once he opened his mouth, everyone was stunned. No one dared to say anything anymore. Sangchen grabbed Xiangyi's wrist and wanted to get her back to the room first. Unexpectedly, although Xiangyi was drunk, her reaction was not slow. Slap. The girl was drunk. Tutu was not afraid of her brother and slapped Sangchen's hand away. Xiangli. Xiangqi. Xiangyu. Sister, actually hit big brother? Even Sangchen, who had always been cold and aloof, couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. Wow, looks like our sister E has her own ideas, Shui chuckled and said in a flirtatious voice. Sister E, do you want to go to big brother's room? Xiangyi didn't hear what he said at all. She only felt that his breath was the most familiar, so she responded softly. Shui's thin lips twitched. Do you want to sleep on big brother's bed? Xiangyi blinked her eyes, her little expression very blank. Shui naturally took her pillow and said in a rippling voice. Okay, big brother will put the pillow properly for you. Chapter 395. Sangchen and the others watched as Shui held a pillow in one hand and Xiangyi in the other as he led her to the bed. He patted the bed and said in a coaxing tone, Go to sleep. Xiangyi yawned and obediently lay down on the bed. She even lifted the thin blanket to cover herself. Good night, Sister E. Xiangyi murmured softly and covered her head with the small blanket. It was as if she found him too noisy. Shui smiled and said, Go to sleep, I'm going to get beaten up. It could be said that he was very self-aware. In the underground boxing room, Xiangyu, Xiangqi, and Xiangli were sweating profusely and panting. Xiangli's breathing was the most erratic, and he even took off his glasses. He usually didn't exercise and now he was regretting it. In the ring, Sangchen was still fighting with Shui. Again. Sweat flowed down Sangchen's chiseled jawline. The man's face was cold and his breathing was steady. Shui, who was opposite him, was still as calm and composed as ever. Shui is pretty good. Xiangyu muttered. After all, he could fight with Xiangyu. Xiangqi was so tired that he was lying on the ground. Hearing his words, he kicked him. Can you not boost other people's morale and diminish your own? Xiangyu said. I don't know who it was that kept getting beaten up. He almost had to climb a pillar, Xiangqi said. You didn't get beaten up? What esports guru? I think you're just a little kid. The two of them argued endlessly. Xiangli silently sat a little further away from the two of them. The next day, in the nanny van, Si Chuanbai looked at the wound on his artist's eyebrow and sighed. You were beaten up. Shui was speechless. Why did he feel like he was waiting for him to get beaten up? Luckily the wound is small. Let Xiaoli cover it for you later. Si Chuanbai glanced at his leg and asked sincerely, How's your leg? Do you need me to rent a wheelchair to push you to the event? Shui was confused. Are you my manager or my #1 anti-fan? He sounded helpless. Si Chuanbai said righteously, I'm Miss Xiangyi's manager and her family. You're just an artist that I've managed in passing. The makeup artist couldn't help but laugh. He was Shui's personal makeup artist. After so many years they had a close relationship, so he spoke freely. If the netizens knew that you were finally beaten up by Sister Yi's brother, they would definitely set off firecrackers. Shui. Am I hated by humans and dogs now? Haha, it's because other than the couple fans, Everyone wants Sister E to be beautiful alone. The makeup artist teased. Oh yes, I heard that the guest today is Fu Jiayan. He is famous for flirting with girls. You have to work harder, otherwise Sister E might be won over by another man. When Xiangyi woke up, she realized that she was in Shui's room and was dumbfounded. She felt guilty and tiptoed to open the door. Just as she was about to sneak back to her room, she heard a cold voice above her head. You're awake? Xiangyi instinctively stood at attention and greeted him dryly. Good morning, big brother. What do you want to eat? I'll make it for you. You've learned how to please people? Xiangyi said seriously. It's only right to be nice to big brother. Songchen's expression was still cold, but he couldn't help but smile. He accidentally tugged at his wound and sucked in a breath of cold air. Xiangyi asked, Brother, why are you injured? What did you do yesterday? Songchen sneered. I hit a dog. Xiangyi. Chapter 396. Xiang Yin and Madame Xiang got up early and left a note, saying that they had gone hiking together. Breakfast was prepared by her brothers. Although the taste was ordinary, Xiangyi ate it with great satisfaction. Zhongyi completely let herself go. She didn't even put on any makeup. She was drinking beef and radish soup with Xiangyi to sober up. After breakfast, Zhongyi got ready to leave with Jiangjiang. The live stream happened to start, and the netizens discovered that Xiangyi had stuffed the trunk of Zhongyi's nanny van to the brim. There were spicy rabbit heads, cream strawberries, and other specialties from Little Rabbit Farm, as well as chili noodles, chili oil, plum wine, and so on. There was also a small gift for Jiangjiang, which was a furry rabbit plushie. This is my favorite rabbit, it's for you. Jiangjiang blinked her large eyes and shook her head. I can't accept it then. Mommy says that it's called snatching someone else's love. Xiangyi smiled gently and stroked her little head. But I like it better, Jiangjiang. Jiangjiang blushed and thanked her while hugging the rabbit. She then whispered into Zhongyi's ear. Mommy, can we not accept the gift and just bring Auntie home? Although her voice was soft, she was wearing a microphone, and her words were accurately captured in the live stream. Zhongyi looks amazing without makeup too. Wow, I feel like Sister E really treats Zhongyi as a friend. I can be a couple with Zhongyi. Jiangjiang, you've spoken my mind. Here, Auntie will give you a sack. Under Xiangyi's influence, Zhongyi smiled brightly and changed the subject. Auntie's birthday is coming up soon. Shall I give her a gift? Jiangjiang exclaimed in a childish voice. Sure. Bye, Auntie. Jiangjiang waved her chubby little paws and blew a kiss at Xiangyi. Xiangyi made a gesture of catching it, and then made a heart gesture at her. After sending Zhongyi and her daughter off, Xiangyi walked back to the living room. The netizens finally realized that all four of Xiangyi's brothers were present. All. Yes. Sangchen was replying to emails on his laptop by the French window. There was a cup of black coffee beside his hand. Xiangli was flipping through a book on the bookshelf. The sunlight shone on his white shirt, making him look elegant and modest. Xiangqi was sewing a new apron for his sister with a needle and thread. He obviously had a devilish appearance, but doing this kind of thing didn't seem out of place. As for Xiangyu, with the mentality of giving up on himself, he was waiting in front of the kitty villa, rubbing little Shiji and hugging Xiao Naofu. He looked like a scumbag who had a wife and a concubine in his arms. The netizens in the live stream. What kind of benefit is this? This sister-in-law is here to report for duty. Where are second sister-in-law's fans? Let me see you. I'm crying. I didn't expect to see my brothers in the same frame in my lifetime. The moment Xiangyi came in, her brothers all looked at her. Sit. Xiangchun pointed at the empty seat on the opposite side. The young girl bit the bullet and went over to take a seat. She placed her hands on the table and sat down like an obedient child. Sangchen looked at her for a few seconds and suddenly said, Do you know the dangers of puppy love? Xiangyi was dumbfounded. Sangchen gestured and said, Xiangli, come here and explain to her. Xiangli readily agreed and said gently, Puppy love refers to the establishment of a romantic relationship between a man and a woman at an early age. The dangers are as follows. I'll break it down into 5 major points and 20 minor points. Xiangyi was dumbfounded. The netizens in the live stream burst into laughter. Ha 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 ha, this is awesome. Are the brothers trying to tear apart a couple with their bare hands? Chapter 397. I suddenly feel like Xiangyi is so childish. Second brother, why are you still cooperating with him? Okay, I got it. Break up with your boyfriend now. Oh right, I don't have a boyfriend yet. Xiangyi was lectured for more than 10 minutes. In summary, puppy love is a very harmful social activity. Xiangli concluded in a gentle tone. Do you understand, little bunny? Xiangyi defended herself with a pale face. I'm already 20 years old. Huh? You're only 20 years old, and you're already thinking about dating? Sangchen frowned, obviously disapproving of her behavior. Xiangli said gently, you're not careful with your words. You haven't even celebrated your 20th birthday yet. Xiangqi chimed in, yes. Besides, you're still a baby at 20 years old. The 21-year-old Xiangyu crossed his arms and said stiffly, yes. Xiangyi said aggrievedly, but I'm not in a relationship yet, Sangchen frowned. You still want to take action? Xiangli tried to smooth things over. It's better to nip the problem in the bud. Okay, Xiangyi is right. Xiangyi sighed helplessly. What else could she do but listen to her brother? The netizens who were watching the live stream couldn't stop laughing. Untimely CP fans are crying in the toilet. My country owes me a brother. Her brothers are right. Xiangyi should be beautiful on her own. While the atmosphere was harmonious, Li Jinyu suddenly received a message and hurriedly cued Xiangyi. Sister E, the guest is here. Today's guest was also an actor who had worked with Shi Sui before. His name was Fu Jiayan. He had played the role of the Crown Prince in that historical drama, which had captivated the hearts of countless young girls. Previously, in Heartbeat, he and Yu Miao Miao tried to hype up a couple, but they failed miserably and their reputation dropped. His management team helped him get the resources of Two Under One Roof in order to clear his name. I'll go pick up the guest then, Xiangyi said to her brothers and got up to go to the door. Xiangyi walked to the black gate. Other than Fu Jiayan's nanny van, there was also a red sports car behind. Fu Jiayan was handsome and took the initiative to greet Xiangyi. Hello, sistery. I'm Fu Jiayan. You can call me Brother Jiayan. The netizens in the live stream were all complaining. This is too greasy, no way? Brother Jiayan sounds so I really can't accept the fact that His Highness the Crown Prince has turned into a greasy youth ***. Before Xiangyi could say anything, a disdainful sneer came from the supercar. How unsophisticated. The camera panned back and saw a girl with exquisite makeup and a socialite dress getting out of the sports car. She threw the car keys at Fu Jiayan arrogantly. Fu Jiayan took it instinctively. Hey, stop the car for me. Fu Jiayan, huh? Come on, did he look like a parking valet? Xiangyi blinked, obviously happy. Jujio, what are you doing here? Li Jinyu and the others were dumbfounded. This girl isn't a guest. Jiang Jiujio raised her chin and said arrogantly, don't think that I'm here for you. I'm just here to see Grandpa Xiang and Madame Xiang. Xiangyi said with a composed expression. Oh, I see. Jiang Jiujio seemed to be very dissatisfied with her answer. She humphed and walked in her high heels. Li Jinyu asked in bewilderment, Sister E, this is? Xiangyi asked carefully, my friend, right? Jiang Jiujio, who was in front, paused in her tracks. Chapter 398. Atrocious. What's with that tone of hers? She's so reluctant to call me a friend. Little did she know that Xiangyi felt that the person who had occupied her body had made new friends and neglected Jiang Jiujio in the past year. Perhaps, Jiang Jiujio no longer treated her as a friend. Jiang Jiujio gritted her teeth and walked even faster. The comments about Jiang Jiujio in the live stream weren't very friendly. This girl is too arrogant. Xiangyi briefly introduced Jiang Jiujio on the spot. She's an excellent violinist and the chief of the Orpheus Orchestra. We've known each other since kindergarten. Li Jinyu gasped and asked, Is it the Orpheus Orchestra that I know? In the live stream. Orpheus Orchestra? What the hell? I'm speechless. It's one of the top orchestras abroad and they have to be under 30 years old. I'm a music major just passing by. This girl is super impressive. She's a musical genius. She has an absolute sense of music. All of a sudden, the comments section was filled with discussions about Jiang Jiujio. Fu Jiayan helped Jiang Jiujio park the car bitterly, but he was immediately tricked by the production team. Li Jinyu smiled and handed him a few mission cards. Jiayan, draw one. Fu Jiayan casually drew a card and opened it, only to be dumbfounded. Bathe the little black pig. Fu Jiayan's eyelids twitched. Don't tell me all the mission cards are for this? Li Jinyu asked. Am I that kind of person? Fu Jiayan looked hesitant. He then heard Li Jinyu exclaim indignantly, I am. Fu Jiayan was speechless. I'll bear with it for the sake of clearing my name. He had a rather boisterous personality, but when he played the role of the Crown Prince back then, he left a deep impression on everyone. Countless fans became fans of him because of his role, so they naturally hoped that he could be like the Crown Prince in person. The production team had been asking him to create a persona for himself, but after a long time he couldn't keep up with the act and hence, became a greasy young man whose persona had collapsed. Fu Jiayan mentally prepared himself in a few seconds and asked expectantly, Will Sister E help me catch the pig then? He was a loyal fan of Two Under One Roof, and usually he would watch the live stream crazily. He had watched the scenes of Xiangyi catching the pig over 100 times. You have hands and feet. Why should she catch a pig for you? Jiang Jiujio was dumbfounded as soon as she entered the living room. The Demon King and the others were all there. She stammered and greeted them before hurriedly coming out in shock. When she heard that Fu Jiayan had asked Xiangyi to help him catch the pig, she got angry. How could such a cute girl like Yi go catch a pig? Fu Jiayan said resentfully. I don't know how to, Jiang Jiujio said aggressively. If you don't know, you can go and learn. A girl's hands are not meant for catching pigs. Coincidentally, Xiangyi went to the tool room to take out gloves, straw hats, sunscreen sleeves, and other items. She gave one to Fu Jiayan, and one for herself. Jiang Jiujio asked in disbelief. Hey, where's mine? Xiangyi was stunned. It's very sunny outside. Go to the living room and enjoy the air conditioning. There are snacks in the mini fridge. Jiang Jiujio's eyes widened. Are you a devil? The great Demon King is in the living room. Xiangyi thought about it and realized that Jiang Jiujio seemed to be quite afraid of Xiangchen. She asked tentatively, Shall we go together then? Since you've invited me so enthusiastically, I'll reluctantly agree to your suggestion. Fu Jiayan asked, But didn't you say that girls can't catch pigs with their hands? Jiang Jiujio rolled her eyes. It's none of your business. Chapter 399. Fu Jiayan was speechless. Am I being despised? His deflated expression was so funny that everyone in the comments section of the live stream burst into laughter. Trying to reason with a girl? Brother, aren't you courting death? Does Two Under One Roof have some kind of anti-filth function? Even Fu Jiayan finds it pleasing to the eye. Shocking. A popular male celebrity is doing such a thing in broad daylight with two girls. Amidst the commotion of the audience, Xiangyi and the other two arrived at the farm. The little black pigs were being reared on the hillside. Fu Jiayan asked curiously, Sister E, how many pigs do you have in total? Xiangyi said, Not many, just dozens. Fu Jiayan was shocked and he looked like a walking emoji. Let me do the math. According to 40 yuan per catty of pork and 50 kilograms per pig, each pig is worth 4,000 yuan. There are so many of them on the mountain. They're not pigs, they're money. Jiang Jiujio said in disdain. Look at how ignorant you are. Fu Jiayan scratched his head, feeling a little embarrassed. I'll go catch one first and see if I can catch one. It's cooler here under the shade, you two wait for me here. Xiangyi said. Actually, you don't have to catch one. Jiang Jiujio interjected. Who are you looking down on? I'm not a good for nothing. I want to go too. Fu Jiayan said. Let's see who catches it first then. Xiangyi said. You really don't have to. The two of them didn't listen to her at all. They somehow felt like competing with each other and rushed up the hillside. Xiangyi was speechless. Forget it, as long as you guys are happy. Fu Jiayan and Jiang Jiujio had their eyes on the same little black pig. The two of them pounced on it from both sides, only to be defeated. The little black pig scurried away. Fu Jiayan said regretfully, "What a pity, this pig is quite cute." Jiang Jiujiu licked the corner of her lips and said, "It should be delicious braised pork." Fu Jiayan was speechless. All of a sudden, a large, sturdy, and powerful black pig appeared in front of them, followed by a little black pig that was whining. Jiang Jiujiu turned pale and exclaimed, It can actually call Daddy over." Fu Jiayan pulled a long face. "Is it too late for us to call it Daddy now?" The answer was that it was too late. The big black boar dug into the ground and charged at the two of them aggressively. Ah! As a result, the live stream was filled with the screams of two people being chased by pigs. Pig catching girl Coco Love. F***CK, what kind of stupid variety show is this? I'm dying of laughter in front of the screen. Fu Jiayan must be a comedian deep down. It's such a pity that he didn't go into crosstalk. Fu Jiayan and Jiang Jiujiu fled frantically together with the cameraman. For some reason, they alarmed the black pigs nearby. All of a sudden, the scene was extremely chaotic and there were piglets running wild all over the hillside. Seeing that the situation was becoming more and more dangerous, the audience gradually felt that something was wrong. There won't be an accident, right? Is there something wrong with the production team? Arranging such a dangerous mission? Aren't the artists' lives more important? If she falls, there might be a stampede. What if she hurts the girl's hand? She's a violinist. This is really the most confusing act of the year. Can't the vase fairy do it herself? Why did she let the crown prince and the girl take the risk? This is too much. I suspect that she's doing it on purpose. She's jealous of Jiang Jiujiu. She's the chief of Orpheus. It's easy for people to be jealous of their friends. If she goes to Orpheus, do you think anyone will want her? Chapter 400. Some people were purely worried about the safety of the guests, while others were stirring up trouble, wishing they could trample on Xiangyi a few more times. There were only so many decent resources in the entertainment industry. And now that Xiangyi had become famous, she was bound to touch the cake of others. Some people didn't want her to become famous. There were also people guarding against her exploding to the front line. As the situation became more and more dangerous, Li Jinyu also panicked and shouted through the loudspeaker, "Everyone, don't panic. Come to my side first." Before he finished speaking, a little black pig that was passing by bumped into his leg, and Li Jinyu fell to the ground. He was speechless. The cameraman, Old Zhang, did not forget to give him a close-up. However, no one could laugh now. The urgency of the audience seemed to be overflowing through the screen. "Oh my God, His Highness can't take this hit. Xiangyi, can't you control your pig? I'm speechless. Where is she? Did she run away? How can she be so irresponsible? I'm speechless. Is the production team brainless? Why did they set up such a dangerous task?" Someone said weakly, "The last time Sister E caught pigs, it wasn't this dangerous. This should just be an accident." This person had just defended Xiangyi, but he was criticized so badly that he began to doubt his life and shut himself up on the spot. Seeing that the chaotic situation couldn't be resolved, a clear whistle sounded. All of a sudden, the restless little black pigs quietened down. The whistle was melodious, and immediately afterwards, the little black pigs all headed in one direction. Everyone at the scene was speechless. The netizens were speechless. "Oh wow, is this a miracle?" Everyone looked at the source of the whistle in unison, only to see a slender girl carrying a bag of corn and a bag of vegetables, standing by a small pond not far away and whistling. She scattered the corn and vegetables on the ground, and the little black pigs obediently ate. After they were full, some jumped into the shallow water by the small pond and snorted. The scene changed from a violent and dangerous pig chase to a warm and harmonious rural life. The netizens were speechless. Didn't she just say that she didn't have to catch the pigs? Damn. Sister, you was really strong. Carrying 2 such big sacks in one go? Anyway, I can't carry it. Those who scolded and ran away, come out and get beaten up. Xiangyi went to get some food. Who knew that they would be chased by pigs? Instantly, the group of people who had scolded the most fiercely just now were too embarrassed to say anything. It turned out that not only did she not abandon them, she even appeared to help them out. Phew. Fu Jiayan let out a long sigh of relief. Oh my god, I was scared to death. He was drenched in sweat from running, and his clothes were stained with grass and mud because he had been protecting Jiang Jiujiu just now. Jiang Jiujiu, who was at the side, wasn't much better than him. Her meticulously permed hair had already fallen apart, and the bow on her head was crooked too. She walked toward Xiangyi fiercely. Fu Jiayan was shocked. Could it be that this eldest miss was going to settle the score with Sister Yi? He was not the only one. Many people in the live stream had the same thought. Oh, someone is going to be unlucky. Serves her right. Who told her not to appear earlier and make Jiang Jiujiu so disheveled? Let's fight, let's fight. Let's tear our hair apart. It's finally time for a fight. I'm so excited. However, to everyone's surprise, Jiang Jiujiu stood still with her hands on her waist. Hey, I want to eat that pig for lunch. Chapter 401. Everyone was speechless. What the hell? Sister, do you still remember that you're a noble and elegant violinist? Xiangyi asked in a gentle voice. Huh? Which one? That one. Jiang Jiujiu felt extremely aggrieved. It's rubbing my butt. I'm going to eat it. Jiang Jiujiu was very willful, but Xiangyi indulged her. Okay, we'll kill it later then. The netizens were appalled. Little black pig, it can't escape the punishment of fate. Ha 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 ha, this girl is so cute. Sister E is a woman who says the cruelest things in the most gentle tone. Pigs are so cute, how can one be enough? Why don't you kill 2 more and hold a fan lucky draw? The disheveled Fu Jiayan seemed to have had an epiphany as he muttered. So this is the correct way to complete the bathing task. Heaven and man are one. The Tao is natural, people and the environment get along harmoniously. Ba, little piggy, I wish you a speedy ascension to heaven. No wonder Xiangyi said that there's no need to catch them. It turns out that if I feed the pigs by the small pond, they'll jump in and bathe themselves. The netizens teased. Fu Jiayan, Master, I'm enlightened. Is the Crown Prince trying to expiate souls? Fu Jiayan is a comedian. Major variety show dads, please look at our brother. This segment was too entertaining. Li Jinyu sighed with emotion. Back then, when Shui asked him to invite Xiang Yi, he did so with the intention of getting a buy-one-get-one free deal. But now, it seemed that Xiang Yi was the treasure that he had bought, and Shui's father was just a freebie that was placed on sale at the supermarket. He even wanted to tailor a variety show for Sister E. Isn't it nice to be alone and beautiful? When the time comes, the variety show award would be within reach. Hee hee hey hee hee. Ruanqing's voice pulled Li Jinyu back to reality. How much longer are you planning to sit on the ground? Li Jinyu snapped back to his senses and finally realized that he was still sitting on the ground. Ruanqing reached her hand out to him in amusement. Li Jinyu was stunned and said weakly, Sister Ruan, can you not hit my face? I didn't know that this mission would have such a dangerous possibility. Previously, when Sister E was catching pigs, it was all very peaceful. Ruanqing was speechless. I was trying to pull you up. So it wasn't him? Little Li, the sociopath, was ecstatic. After the little piglets finished bathing, Xiangyi skillfully caught them and prepared to bring them to be processed. She then arranged for Fu Jiayan to pick some ingredients. Pick some red and green chilies, 2 green onions and 2 heads of garlic. Thank you. Fu Jiayan was elated. Great. Sister E, you're the best. You gave me such a light job. Jiang Jiujiu asked, what about me? Xiangyi pointed at the glass greenhouse and said, why don't you take a rest inside and I'll make you a pot of flower tea? Fu Jiayan. Isn't this a double standard? Wasn't this double standard? The young girl washed her hands and made tea for Jiang Jiujiu in a fluid manner. Before she left, she even helped Jiang Jiujiu redo the bow hairpin. Jiang Jiujiu was secretly delighted, but she still had to pretend to be indifferent. Okay, by the way, I want to eat braised pork trotters. Xiangyi said, okay. She carried the struggling little black pig with one hand and walked towards the kitchen. The cameraman asked, why are you so nice to Miss Jiang? Xiangyi was puzzled. Isn't it only right to be nice to your friends? All of a sudden, countless people flocked to Shui's Weibo. Shui v Shui. If you don't come back, your wife is going to run away with someone else. Chapter 402. At the same time, at a certain movie premiere. Although Shui played a supporting role in the movie, his character design and scenes were very outstanding. After the premiere, the character that left the deepest impression on everyone was the one he played. Even during the interview, he was the one who was asked the most questions. Shui calmly brought the topic back to the main character. However, in the end, he still couldn't avoid the reporter's questions. Shui, some people say that you're lowering yourself by playing a supporting role for a newcomer, even though you've already won the Best Actor award. What do you think? Shui pushed his gold-rimmed glasses up his nose and said gently, I used to be a newcomer too. For actors, it's important to know how to portray their roles well. Shui, what's your upcoming work schedule? Aren't you going to join the cast? Shui said, I'll take into account external factors and my own situation to choose the most suitable script. I won't let down the audience's expectations of me. The reporters were a little disappointed, but they were used to it. When Shui had just debuted, his words were logical and watertight. Although it could be considered an art of language, it was still not a hot topic in gimmicks. Until someone asked, the netizens are voting. Does Sister E like a wolf puppy or a puppy? Which type does Shui think he is? Which type does Sister E like? Everyone was speechless. Awesome. That was the right question. For a moment, all the cameras were aimed at Shui, hoping to hear some juicy gossip. The handsome man raised his eyebrows and said lazily, Can't I be human? Someone laughed first, and the crowd burst into laughter. The reporter who asked the question held back his laughter and asked, Shui, do you think Sister E likes a wolf puppy or a puppy? Shui said, I know. She should like humans. The reporters realized that Shui actually had a humorous side to him. However, if one thought about it carefully, one would realize that there was a double meaning to his response. Sister E liked humans, but he was also a human. It could be understood that Sister E liked him, but she didn't use a definite tone, which made people's imaginations run wild. Damn. Brother, where can I buy your works? Xiangyi was busy in the kitchen. Fu Jiayan was bored out of his wits and wasn't familiar with Xiangyi's brothers either. Hence, he had no choice but to chat with Jiang Juzhou awkwardly. Jiang Juzhou wasn't in the mood. While playing with her cell phone, she answered indifferently. Suddenly, Fu Jiayan asked about Xiangyi. When did you meet Sister E? Jiang Juzhou raised her head and said with certainty, 3.5 years old. You even remember this? Fu Jiayan was a little surprised. A 3-year-old child can't remember anything, right? I just remember. Okay. Tell me then, what was Sister E like when she was 3.5 years old? Jiang Juzhou got lost in her memories and paused for a moment before saying. She was pretty much the same as she is now. She was a crybaby, timid, weak, helpless, and pitiful. Fu Jiayan was speechless. Wait, are you sure you're talking about Sister E? She's just an annoying kid. Jiang Juzhou commented. Thinking about what happened in kindergarten, Jiang Juzhou got angry. Xiangyi is very nice, but she's nice to every child. Anyone can share her after-meal fruits. She already has a harem at such a young age. She's so annoying. Chapter 403. However, in the ears of the netizens watching the live stream, her words sounded a little different. Haven't you guys realized that Xiangyi doesn't have any friends at all? Who said she doesn't? Qin Wanyan is her best friend, yet she exposed her so easily. From this point, you can see her character. Although Shui doesn't have many friends, they are all close friends. On the other hand, the vase fairy only knows how to seduce men. How could she have a true female friend? As the camera panned to the kitchen, Xiangyi's pork trotters were stewing, and the live comments were instantly flooded with new comments. Is this Xiaohei? It looks so fragrant. Wow, Xiaohei has such a good figure. She's neither fat nor thin. I'm drooling. Xiaohei. You guys are still lusting after my body at a time like this? Be a human. Sister E is weak, helpless, and pitiful? She's a devil who can catch a pig with one hand and sharpen her knife to kill a pig, okay. The comments section was very lively, but Xiangyi's expression was very calm as she quietly cooked. Every time she cooked, she would put her heart and soul into it. What might be boring for others was equivalent to relieving stress for her. The scene of a young girl cooking was pleasing to the eye, as if she was enjoying a piece of art. When the last dish was placed on the plate, Xiang Qi and Xiang Yu had already consciously come over to serve the dishes. Fu Jiayan was still thinking about clearing his name, so he helped clean up the table and sat upright with a solemn expression. I can't eat too much. I'm going to steal the role of an otherworldly immortal. I just have to taste each dish. Besides, I don't believe that the previous livestream wasn't an act. Sister Yi's cooking did look delicious, but how delicious could it be? Fu Jiayan picked up a piece of twice-cooked pork with his chopsticks, still thinking about how he had eaten at a top-notch restaurant that cost a few thousand yuan per person. What the F***ck? It was fatty but not greasy, salty and slightly spicy. The slightly sweet taste suddenly bloomed on the tip of his tongue, capturing his taste buds in an instant. The pork was freshly slaughtered, and the chili was freshly picked. Paired with bean paste, green onions, and garlic sprouts, it created a rich and unique taste. What kind of delicacy was this? An exceptional delicacy. Fu Jiayan was dumbfounded. By the time he reacted, the dishes on the table had already been reduced by a third. His pupils trembled as he looked at the scene in front of him in shock. Hades had brought his own big bowl of rice, but Xiang Yu's bowl was even bigger than his. Perhaps it would be more appropriate to describe it as a small basin. Even the elegant and modest Dr. Xiang and the cold and indifferent lawyer Xiang had small mountains of rice on their plates. Country bumpkins. Jiang Juzhou said in disdain. What's wrong with that? In the past, they would even bring pots and pans to their meals. Fu Jiayan suddenly realized that the competition in the Xiang clan was actually so cruel. As he ate, he asked, "Why aren't you eating?" Jiang Jojo picked up a piece of stir-fried vegetable elegantly and rinsed it with water before eating it. She raised her head arrogantly. The orchestra is about to perform. I'm the lead violinist. Rounding it off, it would be the C position, alright? I'm trying to lose weight, so I definitely won't eat such greasy meat dishes. Not even a single bite. Fu Jiayan agreed. You're right. Missy, I wish you success. In the next second, he picked up all the remaining pieces of vegetables in front of Jiang Juzhou. Jiang Juzhou was speechless. At this moment, a strong and spicy aroma wafted into her nose. Chapter 404. She couldn't control her physiological instincts and looked towards the source of the aroma. Xiangyi came out of the kitchen with a plate of braised food. At the top was a soft and tender pork trotter, surrounded by a circle of duck wings and chicken feet, as well as a few pieces of dried tofu and shiitake mushrooms. The food was all soaked in the beautiful reddish-brown gravy and sprinkled with some white sesame seeds. The aroma of the food wafted in all directions, causing the cravings in the depths of one's heart to come out. Fu Jiayan. Jiang Juzhou. The brothers of the Xiang family were obviously immune to their sister's delicacies as they all looked rather calm. However, the impact on Fu Jiayan and Jiang Juzhou was too great. It smells so good. How can it be so fragrant? Gulp. Fu Jiayan couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Xiangyi placed the braised food platter in the middle of the dining table and said, I asked around and everyone can take spicy food, so I made some spicy food. Try it. By the way, I'll go get some soy milk. The little girl got up to get the soy milk, and the table immediately went into battle mode. The brothers of the Xiang family exchanged glances and sparks flew everywhere. Fu Jiayan was so cowardly that he didn't dare to move his chopsticks at all. Jiang Juzhou thought of her bold words just now and decided not to move her chopsticks for the sake of her pride. Soon, the brothers of the Xiang family decided who was better. Sangchen was the first to move his chopsticks and picked up a few pieces of pork trotters that were just right for his mouth. Xiangli was the second to move his chopsticks, and he picked up all the vegetarian dishes. Xiangqi and Xiangyu were carnivores, so one of them picked up a duck wing while the other picked up chicken feet. When it was Fu Jiayan's turn, he picked up a small piece of pork trotter that had fallen on the plate and stuffed it into his mouth. It was fragrant at first, but it soon turned numb and spicy on the tip of his tongue. The meat was soft and tender, and even the bones seemed to have been stewed. The sauce rubbed against his mouth and brought out a sweet aftertaste. After swallowing the small piece of meat, it really melted in his mouth and left a rich aftertaste. It was different from Fu Jiayan's initial imagination. Once he tasted it, he really got carried away. Only tasting each dish and not eating more? No way. Fu Jiayan fully demonstrated to the audience what an adult man's appetite was. He wished he could bury his face in his bowl and enjoy the food. The netizens were speechless. This is like a pig entering a granary. Your Highness, what kind of delicacies haven't you eaten before? Do you really have to enjoy them so much? It's over. The calm and collected crown prince in my heart is gone. All that's left is this heartless eating machine in front of me. As for Jiang Jiujiu, she had fallen into a painful struggle. Eat not eating, Xiangyi's clear voice sounded in her ears. Jiujiu, go ahead and eat. The girl took the initiative to give her a piece of pork trotter. Didn't you say you wanted to eat this? Jiang Jiujiu pulled a long face and said arrogantly. Is that so? I don't even remember. If I ask you to do it, you will do it. If others ask you to do it, you will do it. Humph. Xiangyi said. Yes? She seemed to have realized something. Sorry, I'll change my chopsticks. She didn't notice that she was using her own chopsticks. Although she hadn't started eating yet. Jiang Jiujiu might have minded it, so she didn't eat. She brought a clean plate for Jiang Jiujiu and used the serving chopsticks to pick up some pork trotters, duck wings, mushrooms, and so on. She had gathered all the dishes on the platter. Seeing how careful Xiangyi was and how she treated her like a stranger, Jiang Jiujiu was furious. Do I have to eat just because you asked me to? Why should I listen to you? Chapter 405. Xiangyi looked at Jiang Jiujiu in bewilderment with her clear eyes. She was the one who said she wanted to eat. Why is she angry now? Women are really unpredictable. In the live stream, there were inevitably some haters who came out to criticize Jiang Jiujiu because of her attitude. Welcome, Chief Jiang is slapping the vase fairy in the face online. She can't be bothered to care about you, and yet she's giving you the cold shoulder. What a joke. I feel embarrassed for Xiangyi even through the screen. You should check if you're worthy of being friends with Jiang Jiujiu or not. The actress is obviously jealous. Jiang Jiujiu has already said that she wants to lose weight, but she's deliberately making Jiang Jiujiu eat greasy and high-calorie food. What is she up to? She's so evil. The brothers of the Xiang family glanced at Jiang Jiujiu. She couldn't hide her thoughts from them, but they couldn't be bothered to get involved in the matters between girls. Hence they continued to eat separately. Xiangyi thought about it and said in a warm voice, Don't eat then? Do you have any other dishes you want to eat? I'll make them for you. Or I can order some takeout for you like a light salad. Perhaps Jiang Jiujiu just didn't want to eat the food she cooked. Xiangyi felt that she shouldn't force her. Jiang Jiujiu glared at her. Is that how you persuade people to eat? Xiangyi was slightly embarrassed. I'm really not very good at this. For example, Jiang Jiujiu's grandmother was very good at persuading people to eat. Whenever there were juniors in the family, she would enthusiastically make them eat. She would only persuade them to stop eating if they couldn't eat. Humph. Jiang Jiujiu picked up her chopsticks and said arrogantly, Since you've already cooked, I'll try it. I'm telling you, if it's not delicious, I'll spit it out. Xiangyi nodded obediently. Atrocious. How can I be so cute? The tips of Jiang Jiujiu's ears turned red. She avoided Xiangyi's gaze and lowered her head to scrutinize it. She then chose the tender and glossy pork trotter and took a bite. The world seemed to have suddenly frozen as the hustle and bustle turned into silence while the colors turned into black and white. Jiang Jiujiu felt as if there were fireworks exploding in her head. Then, a white light appeared in front of his eyes, and all of his senses became dull. Only his sense of taste was magnified countless times. He could acutely sense that the thick gravy was wrapped in the bouncy meat that was rich in collagen. It was extremely invasive and occupied his taste buds unstoppably. His saliva was secreted rapidly, and he swallowed it down his throat. "How is it?" Xiangyi asked. Jiang Jiujiu didn't answer, or rather, she answered with her actions. The little girl moved her chopsticks as if they were flying, crazily stuffing food into her mouth. The bones of the chicken feet came off with a light suck, and the meat of the duck wings came off in a few bites. The vegetables were even more so. One mouthful after another, she couldn't stop at all. Ha! Phew! Her lips were red from the spiciness, and there was a tingling and burning sensation spreading. However, the pain only intensified the stimulation. Just like when one ate a spicy stick, the spiciness made one's brain buzz, but thousands of words could be condensed into one word. Awesome! Xiangyi handed her a bottle of soy milk at the right time. Jiang Jiujiu sucked 2 mouthfuls with a straw, and found that it wasn't enough. Hence, she hugged the bottle tightly and continued to eat the braised food. Her belly was bulging at a speed visible to the naked eye. Click! The buttons on the waist of her red checkered skirt suddenly burst open. Although she wasn't exposed, it happened to be recorded by the camera. The netizens were dumbfounded. Did she eat so much that her skirt burst open? Before the crowd had time to complain, they saw Xiangyi blocking the camera. Her milky white face was extremely serious. "Don't shoot." Chapter 406. The staff were all stunned. Ever since the livestream began, they had never seen Sister E so fierce. Even when she threw the scumbag away yesterday, she still looked nonchalant. There were suddenly more comments in the livestream. "A new cult has appeared. How can it be stagnant? Jiu, I can do it. Pretty girls should have sex with pretty girls. I'm on Jiu Yi's side. Sundra Big Sister X is gentle, rich, and beautiful. She's like a fairy. Madam, please give me more food. Wow, Sister E is so gentle." Actually, Jiang Jiujiu didn't expose herself. She even covered it immediately. At the dining table, Jiang Jiujiu's face was flushed red, and she was so ashamed that she wished she could dig a hole and bury herself in it. She hurriedly sucked in her stomach and tried to pretend that nothing had happened. However, she had eaten too much and even drank 2 bottles of soy milk. Her stomach was so round that she couldn't suck it in at all. The men present were all very gentlemanly and didn't make fun of her. Xiang Qi even took the initiative to ask, "Do you want me to stitch it up for you?" For the sake of making friends with Xiangyi, her brothers had always been worried sick. That was the difference between men and women. After all, there was a limit to how much care they could give Xiangyi. Some subtle warmth was energy that could only be transmitted between girls. No. Jiang Jiujiu refused without even thinking about it. It's too embarrassing. All of a sudden, Xiangyi grabbed her wrist. Jiang Jiujiu looked up and met the girl's clear eyes, which seemed to be filled with moonlight and were incredibly gentle. "I'll take you to my room." Jiang Jiujiu looked away awkwardly and didn't say anything. In the bedroom, Jiang Jiujiu changed into a loose cotton linen dress and quietly poked her head out of the cloakroom. The first thing she saw was Xiangyi, who was helping her sew the buttons. The young girl skillfully threaded the needle and sewed the button. Her white wrist lightly circled it twice and successfully tied the knot. She used her teeth to break the knot, and then carefully used the ironing machine to iron the skirt. Jiang Jiujiu was speechless. It was a wonderful feeling. They hadn't contacted each other for a long time, but they didn't become distant. But, thinking of what Qin Wanyan said, Jiang Jiujiu felt a little awkward. Xiangyi noticed her. "Do you want to switch back? Or are you going to wear mine first?" Jiang Jiujiu deliberately said fiercely. "Does your heart ache to wear your clothes?" "That's not what I meant. No. Jiang Jiujiu covered her ears and said, "I'm going out to eat." She went to the living room and sat down at the dining table. She hugged the pig trotter and began to gnaw on it. The Xiang brothers and Fu Jiayan had already moved to the sofa lounge. Fu Jiayan was perplexed when he saw this scene. "Isn't she on a diet? Why are you still eating so much?" Xiang Li sipped his tea and said, "Mr. Fu, you must be single." Fu Jiayan was shocked. "Huh, Dr. Xiang, How could you tell? You guys are too good at scientific research. Xiangli smiled but said nothing. Li Jinyu interacted with Jiang Juju. Sis, what do you think of Sister Yi's culinary skills? Not very good, she said in a peeved tone. But you're enjoying your food. Even your dress has been ripped apart. Why are you still lying? Aren't you friends? Why are you taking the lead to slander Sister Yi? The word friends hit Jiang Juju's sore spot. She turned her head and said fiercely, I'm not friends with her. I unilaterally declare that she and I are biological sisters of different parents. There was an uproar in the live stream. Chapter 407. Does this mean that Sister E is her best friend? Bullshit, she clearly treats Sister E as her best friend. The haters stared at their keyboards in bewilderment. Someone like the Vase Fairy actually had a friend, and a close friend at that. Are we not fast enough to type? Before they could even argue, they got slapped in the face. In the production team of Eating Well for All 3 Meals. The director had arranged for someone to keep an eye on the movements of 2 under 1 roof. After hearing about this matter, everyone was even more convinced that there was definitely a script. Poach her. Poach her immediately. Poach her with an annual salary of 1,000,000 yuan. In the living room of the manor, Xiangyi stared at Jiang Juju in shock, unable to believe the scene in front of her. She subconsciously pinched her palm. The pain came clearly, confirming that everything at this moment was real. After Jiang Juju said those words angrily, her face, ears and neck were all flushed and her shoulders trembled slightly. She was extremely ashamed, but she still pretended to be arrogant. Of course, I don't care what she thinks. Even if she doesn't treat me as a friend, I won't take it to heart. Everyone was speechless. Miss, do you know that you're a tsundere? You may say that you don't care, but anyone who isn't blind can tell that you care a lot about it. Juju. Xiangyi murmured. Jiang Juju asked in displeasure. What? Xiangyi wanted to say something, but when she was about to say it, she habitually asked, do you want to eat dessert? Jiang Juju was even angrier. Is it that difficult to say that I treat you as a friend too? Is it that difficult? Xiangyi was actually a little embarrassed. Besides, she didn't have any close friends and didn't know how to get along with Jiang Juju at all. Hence, she could only treat Jiang Juju like how she had successfully wooed her brothers. What do you want to eat? I'll make it for you, Jiang Juju said seriously. When her brothers heard this, their expressions were different, but they all felt the same. They were a little jealous. Xiangyi's words were like a password to Jiang Juju, but they could easily decipher it. When his younger sister said, I'll cook for you, there was basically no emotional meaning behind it. She simply liked to cook. When his younger sister said, I'll cook for you, it meant that she had a good impression of this person and was close to him. When his younger sister said, what do you want to eat? I'll make it for you. This meant that she had a strong impression of him. If it were a man, they would have suspected that Xiangyi was confessing. Jiang Juju pouted and said, I'm going to take an afternoon nap later, and then have afternoon tea. All right. I still want to go to the glass greenhouse to take pictures. Help me shoot. All right. I want to sleep with you tonight. Jiang Juju clenched her fists and said with a flushed face, you have to wear our sister's pajamas with me. Sure. Jiang Juju's eyes were glistening, and she seemed to be trying to hide the joy in her heart. She lowered her head and took a few more bites of food, but the corners of her mouth were raised high. Her brothers. Was this the friendship between girls? In the live stream, the fans of the Ijo couple were celebrating. Shui, am I not worthy? Juju, yes. Medic, give me an injection of insulin. Woohoo, sleep together. Our Jojo is the rightful wife, no one dares to refute, right? Sister E is so good at doting on others. Sob sob sob, is this what sisterhood is like? Chapter 408. The netizens in the live stream chatted excitedly about the couple, and someone took screenshots of it and submitted them to a famous verified account. All of a sudden, they were all laughing and mocking Shui. After Shui attended the premiere and the celebratory banquet, Si Chuanbai showed her the trending searches. The man who had always been strict and meticulous was obviously trying to hold back his laughter at this moment. You've been despised by the netizens again. Shui raised her eyebrows and noticed that he used the word again. After casually browsing through the process of the matter, he couldn't help but laugh. It's a good thing that Sister E has friends. After all, there was a 7-year age gap between him and Xiangyi, and the two of them didn't have much interaction in the past. However, he had seen how lonely she was when she was in school. She kept skipping grades and getting busy all the time. In his impression, Jiang Jiujie was the friend she had been hanging out with for the longest time. Si Chuanbai said, "You're quite open-minded. Should I praise you for having a good attitude? The Ijio couple has already been created." Shui sat in the nanny van, crossed her long legs lazily, and slowly loosened her tie. Changed the navigation to the manor. Outside the window, light and shadows flashed and the scenery changed. The man said calmly, "Go back and teach the little girl what it means to be the main wife." Si Chuanbai was speechless. Indeed, he and the netizens were overthinking. So what if she's at Sundara? Shui has never lost. While Jiang Jiujie went to take a nap, the livestream was paused and Li Jinyu announced for everyone to take a 2-hour break. Xiangyi was in a state of excitement and couldn't fall asleep at all. She ran to the kitchen, picked up a taro, peeled it, and got ready to steam it to make mashed taro. She remembered that Jiang Jiujie liked it. Suddenly, a few tall figures walked in from the kitchen. Xiangli came over and took the initiative to peel the taro for Xiangyi. After the acupuncture, his hand had improved a lot. Xiangyi was sitting on a small stool and playing with a game console. His hand speed was astonishingly fast. Xiangqi leaned against the wall lazily and yawned, wondering why Xiangyu had gathered everyone. Sangchen stood tall and slender. Even though he was dressed in casual clothes, it was difficult to hide his oppressive aura. He said indifferently, "Let the family meeting begin." Xiangyi was slightly startled. She was hesitating whether she should put down the taro. But then she heard Xiangli say, "Relax. We're mainly talking about whether that person will come back." Xiangqi felt as if he had been struck by lightning. My guess can't be right, right?" Xiangyu looked up with a blank expression. Sangchen glanced at Lao San and Lao Si, who were asking for a beating. He forced himself to be patient, and explained to them how Xiangyi's body had been possessed for the past year. Although Xiangqi was surprised, he accepted it very well. Xiangyu was a little confused. Xiangyi steamed the clean taro, and the purple potatoes that were used for coloring. Her tone was somewhat helpless as she said, "I asked Xiao Naofu, but it has no way of contacting the main system, so I'm not sure." Xiangyu. Wasn't Xiao Naofu just an ordinary kitten? Probably because his expression was too shocked, Xiangqi patted him on the shoulder. "Hey, it's okay. Little uncle must be stupider than you. He would never guess that in the past year, little sister wasn't little sister." Xiangyu. Comparing him to little uncle? Thank you, but he wasn't comforted. Xiangli, who had the highest IQ, frowned. "If there's no way to take a shortcut, then we can only use the stupidest method." Everyone looked at him in unison. According to the known situation, the premise of soul replacement should be that little sister is injured or in a weak state. Then the simplest way is to find someone to protect her 24 hours a day. Chapter 409. Sangchen asked, "Bodyguard? I'll go look for one and see if there are any suitable ones." Xiangqi interjected, "You have to find a female bodyguard. A male bodyguard can't be guaranteed to be around 24 hours a day." Xiangyu's brain twitched. "A boyfriend can." In an instant, the three brothers cast murderous glances at him. Xiangyu wished he could die on the spot. He said, "I was just kidding, is it funny?" "Ha ha, ha ha." He laughed dryly as cold sweat broke out on his forehead, for fear that his brother would teach him a lesson. Sangchen glanced at him and couldn't be bothered to argue with him. He said calmly, "I'll make the arrangements." Xiangli said, "I think I can apply for official protection of family members. Let me make a call to confirm." Xiangqi exclaimed, I'll go ask around too. Xiangyu said. I'll ask my friends too. The few of them were very efficient. As soon as the taro and purple potatoes were cooked, Xiangyu learned that she had 10 bodyguards. The corners of her mouth twitched. Isn't that a little too much? Actually, I can protect myself too. 10 is too much. Don't let your guard down. Don't worry, I can afford it. Xiangyu had no choice but to accept their good intentions. After the family meeting, the brothers left one after another. After all, they all had things to do. After sending her brothers away, Xiangyu was a little melancholic, but she soon accepted reality. She cherished it even more because it was too difficult to get together. Jiang Jiujie woke up from her afternoon nap and scurried out of the guest room to look for Xiangyi. After wandering around, she saw Xiangyi in the kitchen. The young girl was quietly preparing the ingredients for milk tea, which were her favorites, such as mashed taro and taro balls. The light in the oven was on, and the aroma of cookies wafted out. It was a warm and quiet scene. Ding! It was time for the oven to open. Xiangyi took out the cookies and tasted them. Seemingly thinking that they tasted good, the young girl tilted her head and gave herself a thumbs up. Jiang Jiujie. My sisters are so cute. Sensing Jiang Jiujie's gaze, Xiangyi looked over and said with a smile, You're awake. Do you want to go for afternoon tea? Jiang Jiujie folded her arms arrogantly and said, Since you've already invited me, I'll consider it. A second later she nodded. All right, I've thought about it. Xiang. Really? Then I'll bring the food to the glass greenhouse. Jiang Jiujie sounded awkward, but her body was very honest as she took the initiative to share half of the burden with her. It just so happened that the staff had almost rested. Li Jinyu shouted and prepared to shoot the afternoon tea of the two girls. A few minutes later, the netizens received a push notification for the live broadcast. When they clicked on it, what appeared in front of them was a scene that looked like an idol drama. The wind was gentle, the clouds were light, and the distant mountains were beautiful. The sunlight was refracted through the glass, and the flowers and grass grew luxuriantly. On the round table covered with a lace tablecloth, there were delicate biscuits and milk tea. There were a few freesia in a slender porcelain bottle. The two girls were sitting opposite each other, leaning against the recliners and swaying slowly. The white and soft kitten was nestled in Xiangyi's arms while the silly little Shiji was squatting by Jiang Jiujie's feet. Jiang Jiujie took a bite of the biscuits and milk tea, squinting her eyes in bliss. I'm taking screenshots like crazy. This is so beautiful. The director is so good. This is my ideal life. Huh? I think I saw Shui coming back. He's at the entrance at the bottom left corner of the screen. Let him go. Let him run away from home. Chapter 410. Ha ha ha, are you serious about telling Shurindi to run away from home? My mom is asking me why I'm laughing like a pig. The camera panned to a distant view. The man was dressed in a tailored black suit that accentuated his height and long legs. His tie was loosely tied, and a few locks of his hair were hanging down. He looked relaxed and casual. It was as if he was returning home. He locked his gaze on Xiangyi, who was in the glass greenhouse, and strode over with his long legs. The comments in the live stream were instantly flooded. Shurindi in a suit can do it. His legs are at least 2 meters long. They're even better than models. He's so immersive, I feel like he's going to unbuckle his belt in the next second. Si Chuanbai was watching the live stream in the nanny van. When he saw the comments, a smile appeared on his face. Looking at the comments, it was indeed the status of the main wife. His phone vibrated and he picked it up. Annan's anxious voice came through the receiver. Chuan, I think I've been scammed. Chuan, don't you think it's strange to call him Chuan? It sounds like you're taking advantage of me. And it sounds a little strange. Si Chuanbai interrupted his nonsense. This little colorful guy always said shocking things. He pressed his eyebrows. Get to the point. Someone claimed to be the director of the variety show National Mass Workout, and said that he wants Sister E to be a flying guest for the next episode. I don't think it's real, but I'm afraid it's true. Si Chuanbai raised his eyebrows. Even he was a little stunned. National Mass Workout. was a national variety show that could be said to be the most popular variety show at the moment. It had recorded a total of 2 seasons, and the 3rd season was in preparation. Every season, the guests invited could be said to be the top or A-listers, or they were the senior big shots with a high status. Si Chuanbai took a deep breath and said, "Send me the contact information." 2 minutes later, Si Chuanbai confirmed that it was really the director of National Mass Workout. Anam was extremely excited on the other end of the phone. Our girl is so capable." Si Chuanbai smiled and said, "She's quite capable." In a sense, Xiangyi's popularity could be said to have risen from C-list to A-list. However, the industry wouldn't recognize her status if she didn't have any film or television projects. But if the resources could keep up, if he became part of Miss Xiangyi's family, he would be able to become an S-lister for free. A glass greenhouse. Shui greeted Jiang Jiujiu politely. As soon as the suave, gentle, and handsome man appeared, Jiang Jiujiu felt that her friend had changed. For example, her tone was inexplicably soft. "You're back. Have a seat." For example, his attitude was inexplicably warm. "Here biscuits, cakes and fruits." Another example was his gaze, which was inexplicably fixed. "You look good in this." Shui had intended to go back and change her clothes after greeting him, but at this moment, she blinked and threw the thought of changing to the back of her mind. She sat down steadily and said, "Thank you. You're also very beautiful." Jiang Jiujiu gritted her teeth and thought, "Why does it feel like an old married couple?" Cough cough. Jiang Jiujiu coughed hard a few times to get Xiangyi's attention. "You said you wanted to take a photo, help me." "Sure." The 2 girls met and began to study which software and filter were better. A certain best actor quietly raised his hand and unbuttoned the top 2 buttons of his shirt. Whoosh, Xiangyi subconsciously looked over, just like the attraction of the sun to sunflowers. Chapter 411. His black tie was loose and the top of his snow-white shirt was slightly open, revealing his clean and clear collarbone. His skin seemed to be a mixture of moonlight and snow, fair and delicate. Xiangyi seemed to have been bewitched, as she couldn't look away for a while. "I think this retro filter is quite nice. It gives off the feeling of a Renaissance oil painting." Jiang Jiujiu murmured, only to realize that Xiangyi was distracted. She looked in the direction of her gaze. "Damn. How can my sister be bewitched by a man?" Jiang Jiujiu was puzzled. She was extremely frustrated and poked Xiangyi's arm with her finger. "We agreed that you would take photos of me." Xiangyi seemed to have woken up from a dream. "Ahem, I'll take photos for you then. Stand over there, the light is better." Jiang Jiujiu happily went to take photos and even raised her eyebrows at Shui provocatively. "Men are bullshit. Sisters are treasures." In the live stream, the netizens were delighted to see this scene. Jealous Sui, disdainful Jiujiu. Shui is a man, but his collarbone is even more pronounced than mine. Oh my god. I love men who are relaxed, lazy and abstinent. Shui, undo a few more buttons. I don't lack this bit of traffic. Xiangyi patiently took photos of Jiang Jiujiu. After taking dozens of photos, the 2 of them huddled together to discuss which one looked better. Thanks to her narcissistic third brother, Xiangyi's photography skills and aesthetic sense were both on point. Jiang Jiujiu looked like a noble girl from the Middle Ages. A professional photographer had once taken photos of Jiang Jiujiu, and the composition and angle of the photos were impeccable. However, Jiang Jiujiu felt that Xiangyi's photos were thousands of times better than those taken by a professional photographer. However, her tone was still arrogant. You're just SOSO. You haven't improved at all after so many years." Her body, however, was very honest. She held Xiangyi's arm with her hand, which was a gesture of intimacy between sisters. Shui saw this scene. He calmly picked up the glass of water and sipped slowly. Swoosh! Xiangyi looked over again like a good-for-nothing, under the warm light. Every part of the man's face was perfect. He raised his snow-white neck, his Adam's apple moving up and down as he swallowed. His pale thin lips were wet with water. He frowned and licked the corner of his lips, seeming to be intentional or unintentional. As if sensing Xiangyi's gaze, he looked up and his thin lips parted into a thin but seductive smile. Jiang Juzhou thought, "Damn you, dog of a man." Half of the netizens in the live stream were screaming, and the other half were quacking. Covering my mouth can't stop me from screaming like a groundhog. Brother, I can do this. I really can. Goose 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 goose. Jiang Juzhou's expression is hilarious. You didn't expect this, did you? The person in front of you is a Grand Slam best actor. Seriously, Shui is fighting for attention, right? Wasn't it? Sure enough, he was a man with a mental age of 10. I laughed so hard that my neighbors within a 10-mile radius would have to rely on hearing aids for the rest of their lives. Jiang Juzhou gritted her teeth and thought to herself, my good sister will never fall for such a dog of a man. In the next second, she heard Xiangyi ask gently, do you want to take a photo? Shui blinked and said with an innocent expression, but I'm not wearing any makeup. Will I look ugly in the photos? I'm so envious of Sister E for making you look so good in the photos. Jiang Juzhou was speechless. Isn't she just saying, sister, you're so good at makeup, unlike me who doesn't even know how to put on foundation. Chapter 412. The staff at the scene had a hard time trying to suppress their laughter, but the netizens watching the live stream didn't have so many scruples. She's so green as soon as she opens her mouth. Oh my god, Shui is so good at variety shows. I can't take it anymore. Look at Xiao Naofu and little Shiji's expressions. I'm rolling around in bed laughing. Only then did the crowd notice that Xiao Naofu had taken a few steps back with a look of disdain, seemingly trying to draw a line between him and Shui. Little Shiji had no idea what was going on and chased after Xiao Naofu while wagging its tail continuously. It was a vivid illustration of what it meant to dislike dogs and cats. However, Xiangyi retorted seriously, no, you look good in all the photos. Shui was slightly stunned, but after a moment he couldn't help but burst into laughter. It seemed that Xiangyi had an inexplicable trust in him at all times. Just that, he suddenly felt a sense of guilt. He stopped teasing her and said in a low voice, I'll leave it to Sister E then. Xiangyi took out her cell phone and began taking photos of him. Jiang Juzhou stomped her feet in anger, causing countless viewers to laugh hysterically. What kind of magical scene is this? Other people's scenes were thrilling, and repeatedly testing the edge of death. The scenes on Two Under One Roof were hilarious, and so hilarious that their abs would pop out at any moment. This scene, without a doubt, became one of the famous scenes that fans of Two Under One Roof often relived. Xiangyi took dozens of photos of Shui, with an impartial attitude. I'll send them to you later. The young girl remembered what Nan said last time. Shui's Weibo account was full of weeds all year round, and she couldn't be bothered to open it for business. Hence she asked, do you want to post a 9-grid Weibo post? There should be a lot of people looking forward to it. Shui nodded and said, sure. All of a sudden, the countless Shui sisters in front of the screen fell silent. Most of them didn't have a good impression of Xiangyi at first. After all, Xiangyi's reputation was too poor previously, and she had been criticized on the internet for nearly a year. Hence, everyone would be affected and prejudiced against her. But after Shui joined Two Under One Roof, he really changed. He used to be on set all year round, and there was almost no activity except for his work. His fans couldn't catch any traces of his life, and many even pessimistically thought that he didn't care about his fans at all. However, Two Under One Roof allowed everyone to see the relaxed side of Shui, especially his interactions with Xiangyi. Only then did they realize that he also had a childish side. When he was childish, he would even bully kittens. This Shui might not be perfect, but she was very real. Now, Xiangyi even urged Shui to open for business. That feeling was really subtle. Sometimes there was no reason to hate someone. Similarly, having a good impression of someone was just as sudden. Shui was typing something on her Weibo account while Jiang Juzhou seized the opportunity to grab Xiangyi's wrist. That? The proud and pampered young miss was now stammering. Her small fists clenched tightly. Xiangyi, Everyone's curiosity was piqued by her. Jiang Jiujiu closed her eyes and finally made up her mind to express what she found hard to say. Hey, can you take a selfie with me? Xiangyi's cherry lips opened, and she hesitated for a few seconds. Can't I take a few more? Jiang Jiujiu said resolutely. Sure. I can do it. I'm super. Chapter 413. In the live stream. Girls who don't mean what they say are so cute. Sister E is really the Terminator of Tsundere. She's so good at curing Tsundere. Jiujiu can do it. Shui, can you do it or not? I'm sick of answering this question. Hashtag Shui can't do it. Hashtag okay. Okay, next question. The two girls chose various filters and decorations to take a selfie. The netizens exclaimed that it was so realistic that it was simply a replica of the selfies they took with their sisters. At the same time, Shui posted on Weibo. The caption was simple, but it was enough to make one's imagination run wild. Shui sistery took it. The Shui sisters were a little upset when they saw the text, but after seeing the picture, they screamed. The man in the picture was wearing a white shirt and a black suit. His tie was loose and his collar was open. His gaze was deep and doting, and he looked lazy. He was a refined scum who was abstinent and passionate. The number of comments instantly exceeded 10,000. He's like a boyfriend. He's finally open for business. I'm covering my mouth and crying. Thank you, Sister E. I announce that Sister E is the prettiest sister in the world. Shui put away his cell phone, too embarrassed to continue teasing Xiangyi, so he got ready to go back and change his clothes. The corner of his shirt was suddenly tugged. He turned around and met her bright eyes. Sister E. Do you want to take a selfie? Xiangyi asked. There was a trace of surprise in the depths of Shui's eyes, as if he didn't expect that Xiangyi would take the initiative to ask him for a selfie. He smiled and said, yes. Little did he know that although he didn't do anything this time, in Jiang Jiujiu's eyes he was playing hard to get and retreating in order to advance. I'm so angry. Due to the height difference between the two of them, Xiangyi raised her cell phone high, but before she could press the camera button, it landed in a pair of bony hands. The man's magnetic voice sounded in her ear. Let me do it. Xiangyi. Okay. Seeing this scene, Jiang Jiujiu began to stomp her feet again. Jiujiu, why do you have a problem with the floor? Fu Jiayan yawned and appeared beside Jiang Jiujiu while his hair was messy. No one woke him up. He had been taking an afternoon nap until now. Fu Jiayan seriously suspected that he had been forgotten by the production team. Jiang Jiujiu was infuriated. I'm so angry. Ignore me. Fu Jiayan replied. Oh. With one hand in his pocket, Fu Jiayan sauntered over to Xiangyi and Shui. Shamelessly he leaned over and said, Senior Shi, are you guys taking a selfie? Count me in. Let's activate a pig head special effect. Shui smiled, and the look in her eyes was very kind. The netizens in the livestream were laughing so hard that they were almost out of breath. Fu Jiayan. What a straight man. Suizi. You look like AF * King Pig. F * CK. Why is Fu Jiayan so funny? I can't control myself as soon as he appears. Fu Jiayan's manager almost fainted when he saw this scene through the livestream. Bro. I told you to clear your name. Why are you ruining your own image? I told you to talk less, do more, and pay attention to your image. Have you forgotten all about it? Your brain is a good thing. Forget it if you don't use it well. You can't have not used it even once after more than 20 years, can you? The manager drank some oral liquid and opened the pop-up comments while trembling. He was already prepared for Fu Jiayan to be criticized by the netizens until he quit the entertainment industry. Whoosh! The screen was filled with ha 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 comments that were so dazzling that it hurt the manager's eyes. The manager was speechless. Chapter 414. 1 minute, 2 minutes. The expected flood of negative comments didn't appear. On the contrary, the netizens' comments were all positive. Ha 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 ha. Why can you send a voice message? Fu Jiayan is quite suitable to be a comedian. Actually, he's funny. His Highness turns out to be a silly boy in real life. I'm done. To be honest, Fu Jiayan has been enjoying the benefits of being a crown prince for the past 2 years, and I've long been tired of him. He really made the right choice to take on 2 under one roof. His agent was too far-sighted. Getting rid of the shackles of being a crown prince is the way to long-term development. Seeing this, the manager's eyes were in a trance. Great foresight? What does that have to do with me? The reason why he gave Fu Jiayan this job was really just to clear his name. Is this a blind cat that chanced upon a dead mouse? It's so dark that it's naturally clear. Next, Fu Jiayan followed Xiangyi to Little Rabbit Farm. He completely let himself go and revealed his talkative personality. He could even talk to cows for a long time while milking cows. When he was done, he suddenly realized, wait a minute, aren't I here to clear my name? He recalled his manager's earnest instructions and all sorts of knowledge about setting up a character. It's over, why can't this knowledge enter my mind? Jiang Jiujie was still sulking and kicking pebbles nonchalantly. Seeing his expression, she said in disdain, Hey, are you retarded? Fu Jiayan said with a sullen expression. My fans are definitely going to stop following me. Jiang Jiujie expressed her doubts. You actually have fans? Am I living in an illusory world and everything is fake? Actually, I don't have a single fan. Seeing that he was about to break down, Jiang Jiujie said awkwardly, Okay, you're actually not too bad looking. It should be normal for you to have a few fans. After all, an ordinary person like me has hundreds of thousands of fans on foreign social media platforms. The netizens were speechless. Fu Jiayan, ordinary Jiang Jiujie? Xiangyi came over with a basket of duck eggs and was about to go back to marinate them when she saw that Fu Jiayan was not in a good mood. She asked gently, Fu Jiayan, are you okay? Jiang Jiujie secretly pointed at Fu Jiayan and then at her head, hinting to her that there was something wrong with his head. Xiangyi. Fu Jiayan sat down on the ground and hugged his knees. He exuded a dejected aura. You don't understand. They all like me because of a character. If they find out that I'm not that character, no one will like me anymore. Jiang Jiujie said. What nonsense are you spouting? So you're an actress? I thought you were a crosstalk artist. Fu Jiayan. His heart felt as if it had been stabbed by a knife. Jiang Jiujie said, since they like you because of one role, wouldn't they like you 10 times more if you play 10 roles? Don't tell me you don't have a script to act in? Fu Jiayan. One stab after another. While the netizens were laughing, Fu Jiayan's fans felt sorry for him. They wanted to comfort him, but they didn't know where to start. As Fu Jiayan said, they did like him because of the crown prince. At this moment, Xiangyi's calm and indifferent voice sounded. You're the one who gives life to the characters. The characters are liked because of you. Fu Jiayan, why do you have to act? You're you. Chapter 415. Bang. Bang bang. Every word she said was like a drum that struck Fu Jiayan's heart hard. The girl's eyes were clear and her tone was firm. Every word she said gave him a strong conviction. You are you. You are you. Fu Jiayan fell into deep thought. In front of the screen, Fu Jiayan's fans also came back to their senses. Yeah. The character design of the Crown Prince wasn't very likable. It was Fu Jiayan's acting that shaped the soul of the Crown Prince. They cried for him, rejoiced for him, got angry for him, and felt aggrieved for him. It has always been the actor who brings the character to life. Xiangyi said seriously, You're the Crown Prince, but you're also the actor Fu Jiayan. The fans. Ah, she's so eloquent. Xiangyi is really a girl with a strong sense of self-awareness. That's rare. Sistery, please come out with a book as soon as possible. If you're so eloquent, say more. The confusion in Fu Jiayan's eyes slowly dissipated at this moment. All along, the team had been asking him to maintain his persona and maintain his popularity. He was also very anxious and felt that he was limited by the character of the Crown Prince and couldn't get out of it no matter what. In the past 2 years he had acted in a few dramas, but compared to the other roles, they didn't seem that outstanding. The pressure from the outside world made Fu Jiayan more and more anxious. Am I not good enough? Am I really at the peak of my career? Am I only able to keep that one classic role for the rest of my life? At the most extreme moment, he even developed feelings of self-loathing. Fu Jiayan even agreed with what others said, that he was lucky and that the role made him who he was. However, Xiangyi's words made him sober up. Fu Jiayan was so touched that tears welled up in his eyes. Sister Yi, you're so nice. You're my life mentor and guiding light. He wanted to hold Xiangyi's hand, but Jiang Jiujiu smacked it away mercilessly. Push, don't try to take advantage of Yi. Fu Jiayan sniffled and asked sincerely, Sister Yi, do you have anything else to say to me? What Xiangyi said must be true and wise. He was going to write everything down in a small notebook. The next second, Xiangyi asked calmly, when you leave, do you want to take a jar of salted duck eggs with you? Fu Jiayan. Question mark. The duck eggs this time are big, and they are all double yolk eggs. After marinating, the golden yolk will drip with oil when poked. Fu Jiayan. You don't like it? What about bringing a jar of kimchi? I've made cabbage, radish and beans. I've also made soy sauce and chili sauce. There are also many kinds of jam. You can take your time to choose. To the production team, Fu Jiayan and the others were guests. But to Xiangyi, they were all guests. How could she leave empty-handed? After a moment of silence, Fu Jiayan suddenly sobbed and exclaimed miserably, Xiangyi. Woo-woo, I also want to unilaterally announce that you are my biological sister from a different mother. Jiang Jiujiu exclaimed. Get lost, you plagiarized my poem. Fu Jiayan seemed to be on steroids as he cleaned the house, chopped firewood and fed the chickens. He couldn't stop at all. Sitting on the swing, Jiang Jiujiu was as angry as a blowfish as she stared at Xiangyi, who was pickling salted duck eggs in the courtyard, as well as Shi Sui, who was assisting her. Why aren't you coaxing me? Atrocious. She bit her lip, jumped off the swing, walked towards Xiangyi and stood still. I'm angry. I'm super angry. I'll give you a chance to coax me. I won't wait until it's too late. Emph. Chapter 416. Thud. The duck egg in Xiangyi's hand fell into the mud mixed with salt water and yellow soil, causing a few drops of mud to splatter. Ha! Why are you angry? Jiang Jiujiu clenched her fists tightly. You idiot! Ah, it turns out that in this world, what's more difficult than reading and understanding is a girl's heart. The pop-up comments in the live stream were filled with joy. Sister E, as expected of you. You're a straight woman. Ha 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 ha, Sister E, you're angry at Jiujiu. Ijiu is so sweet. I'm going to eat it. All of a sudden, the man's low laughter fell into her ears. He said in a gentle and teasing tone. Isn't our Sister E very good at coaxing people? Xiangyi seemed to be in a dilemma. She only knew how to give out candy, but her hands were so dirty. How could she take it? Looking at Shi Sui's clean hands, she suddenly had an idea and nudged Shi Sui with her elbow. Help me get the things in my left pocket. Shi Sui readily took out a candy and handed it to Jiang Jiujiu. Here, Miss Jiang, have a candy. Not only was Jiang Jiujiu not comforted, she was so infuriated that she wanted to vomit blood. Seeing that Jiang Jiujiu was about to fly into a rage, Xiangyi successfully appeased her. I have a gift for you. Jiang Jiujiu thought. Oh. After marinating the salted duck egg, Xiangyi washed her hands, and then took out a small box with a plain packaging. Feeling a little embarrassed, she said, Sorry, your birthday has already passed. Can this be a gift to make up for it? Jiang Jiujiu raised her chin arrogantly and said, It depends on my mood. She opened the box, and a beautiful necklace came into view. The chain was slender and exquisite, and the red drop-shaped pendant was gorgeous and dazzling. The pop-up comments in the live stream sneered at the necklace. Doesn't the vase fairy claim to be fair, rich, and beautiful? She's giving a crystal as a gift? It's beautiful, but the crystal is too cheap. Everyone knows that crystals are worthless. Jiang Jiujiu treats her like a good sister, but what about her? She's fooling her like a fool. As soon as the haters started criticizing, they heard Jiang Jiujiu's surprised voice. Pigeon's blood ruby? Did you dig it out from your mine? Xiangyi nodded. Yes, this is the one with the best transparency, color, and cutting quality. In an instant, someone came out in the bullet screen to explain frowny face Pigeon's blood ruby, is an extremely pure ruby with a hint of indistinct blue. Its global production isn't high. Every one of them is worth a fortune. There were also people who began to recognize each other from afar. Gem mine? Sister E, I'm your long-lost sister. I'm really rich, I'm kneeling. Mommy, do you think my kneeling posture is standard? The trolls. This F*King shiny thing wasn't a crystal, but a pigeon's blood ruby. Do you like it? Xiangyi asked cautiously. Jiang Jiujiu looked up at the sky with fireworks in her heart. However, she said arrogantly, "It's all right, it's passable." After waiting for a few seconds, Jiang Jiujiu saw that Xiangyi was still not moving. She puffed up her cheeks and said, "Help me put it on. I can't reach it." Xiangyi smiled and helped her put on the necklace. The pendant hung in the middle of her collarbone, making her skin look exceptionally fair. Jiang Jiujiu glanced at Shui smugly, as if to say, "I have a gift but you don't." To her surprise, in the next instant Shui sighed softly. He had a firm grasp of the pitiful, innocent, and pure tone of a white lotus flower. Other children have gifts, when will I get one? Chapter 417. The fragrance of the tea that wafted over made Jiang Jiujiu confused. Does this dog grow green tea at home? Why would Sister E like such a dog? I can't figure it out. I really can't figure it out. Xiangyi blinked and remembered that there was a ruby in the jewelry cabinet. Although it was not as high quality as the one she gave Jiang Jiujiu, it was much better than the one she gave Jiang Jiujiu. It was the size of a baby's fist and it was glowing. I'll give it to him secretly at night, lest others misunderstand and affect Shui's reputation. In the blink of an eye, it was dinner time. There was porridge, side dishes, omelets, and salted duck eggs from Little Rabbit Farm. Fu Jiayan said, That's good, that's good. I'll be able to satisfy my appetite without getting fat." He was a male artist who had to maintain his figure, and the sumptuous lunch he had at noon was too much for him to take. "I should be able to bear with it at night, right?" Fu Jiayan picked up an omelette and started chewing. The ingredients for the omelette were the eggs laid by Xiangyi's chickens, which Fu Jiayan had collected. He then mixed them with flour and a few vegetables to form a thin omelette. He also added some pepper to make it taste better. The pale yellow omelette was still warm, and it was decorated with chopped vegetables. It was so thin that it was almost transparent. The original omelette was rich in aroma, and it could also be rolled in chili oil according to one's taste. The fresh and spicy taste would fill one's taste buds. Fu Jiayan's pupils dilated in disbelief. What kind of immortal is Sister E? How can she make an omelette taste so good? Hence, Fu Jiayan, who had been saying that there was no possibility of him gaining weight, ate a biscuit in a few bites. Within a short period of time, he had devoured 8 biscuits like a whirlwind. Xiangyi was dumbfounded. Is a male artist's appetite that big? In comparison, Shui ate too little. Is she deliberately eating less for the sake of being on camera? In Xiangyi's mind, she imagined the pitiful Shui going to work even though she was hungry. The expression on her fair and clean face became more and more solemn. She went into the kitchen and deftly spread out the pancakes. She picked up 2 pancakes for Shui. Shui was puzzled. Xiangyi pulled a long face. "Eat more. If you get any thinner, you'll look like a paper person." Her original intention was to remind Shui that being too skinny was actually not good looking, but Shui misunderstood and thought that she was despising her. Not in good shape? The man raised his eyebrows and decided to put fitness on the agenda to make his abdominal muscles more obvious. Dinner ended with Fu Jiayan burping. After the meal, Fu Jiayan lamented, "I can't go on like this. I'm going to gain 3 pounds every meal." He then changed into his sportswear and went for a run. Jiang Jiujiu wasn't considered a guest, and she didn't care about her image either. Hence, she openly swiped her cell phone in the living room. After returning to China, she found out that Xiangyi actually had a live broadcast variety show, but she didn't have the time to watch it. At this time, she wanted to catch up on the previous broadcast, but she accidentally clicked on today's live broadcast. The live broadcast room was divided into the main one and the personal one. Without any hesitation, Jiang Jiujiu chose Xiangyi's personal live broadcast room. The pop-up comments were automatically turned on, and most of them were praising her. Jiang Jiujiu. Why are these people so good at bragging? Some viewers discovered that Jiang Jiujiu was watching the live broadcast, and the comments were flooding in quickly. Miss, is the violin difficult to learn? Do you know that you're very ill-mannered? So what if you're rich? I'm curious why you're friends with Xiangyi. What's so good about her? I don't get it. Chapter 418. Don't you think Xiangyi is too pretentious? It must be tiring to get along with such a person. The comments were all over the screen, making her dizzy. Jiang Jiujiu skipped over all the comments that were criticizing her, and accurately captured the comments that were defaming Xiangyi. Are these people full of themselves? Yi is so cute, why is she being defamed? Jiang Jiujiu exclaimed angrily. You guys are heartless. What right do you have to criticize Yi? When the haters realized that Jiang Jiujiu had really seen the comments, they became even more vicious. I still like girls like Jiang Jiujiu who are genuine. Xiangyi is too pretentious. Isn't she tired of pretending to be perfect every day? Miss, blink when you're threatened. You weren't like this when you first arrived. Why are you defending Xiangyi now? At the end of the day, the Vase Fairy is just a variety show star. Besides, apart from Two Under One Roof, she doesn't have any other decent variety show resources, let alone a representative work. Although I admit that Xiangyi is a little popular now, it's just a castle in the air. Without any works, her popularity is like a plate of sand that can be blown away by the wind. How can Two Under One Roof continue to be live-streamed? When this variety show ends, she'll definitely be ruined. Jiang Jiujiu looked at the comments in disbelief. Has Yi always been criticized like this? Why is there so much malice between people on the internet? She belatedly realized that there was something wrong with Qin Wanyan's words. In the past year, she rarely contacted Xiangyi, and only met her for a short while at the Xiang family's old residence. At that time, Qin Wanyan was also present and pestered her to add her contact number. Later on, Qin Wanyan would send her messages from time to time, asking about her well-being and showing her concern. Those words gave Jiang Jiujiu, who was far away in a foreign country, a warm comfort. Hence, she once regarded Qin Wanyan as a friend. After returning to China, Qin Wanyan had asked her out for a meal. During the meal, Qin Wanyan mentioned that Xiangyi's personality had changed drastically. Xiangyi was cold-blooded and heartless to her friends. She was in love and only had men in her eyes. She didn't even treat her sisters as friends. She even complained that she had accidentally offended Xiangyi, and Xiangyi wanted to kill her. Now her company was gone, her career was ruined, her fans had left her, and her acting career was coming to an end. Hence, Qin Wanyan wanted Jiang Jiujiu to plead on her behalf, and ask Xiangyi to let her off. Jiang Jiujiu naturally wouldn't believe her completely, but she was more or less affected. When she first arrived, her attitude toward Xiangyi wasn't very good. Jiang Jiujiu felt extremely guilty when she thought about how she had caused Xiangyi to be scolded because of her attitude. Just then his phone vibrated. It was a message from Qin Wanyan. First, it was a weather forecast that reminded her that the temperature would drop tomorrow. She then said, I'm so envious. Xiangyi treats you like a good sister, unlike me. I don't know how I offended her. That's why I ended up in this state. Jiang Jiujiu squinted, and thought about how Shui looked in the afternoon. She gritted her teeth and typed rapidly. She replied, Xiangyi won't bully others. You said that she bullied you? She must have. You deserve it. Qin Wanyan, who was on the other end of the screen, was speechless. Jiang Jiujiu raised her little face and said fiercely to the camera, Xiangyi is not like what you guys are saying. She's the best and most gentle girl in the world. If you guys keep spouting nonsense, I'll make you bald. Chapter 419. Jiangyi said in a menacing tone. There were no cameramen in the living room at this moment, and there were only fixed camera positions. In the director's room, Li Jinyu and the others were eating omelets and side dishes when they heard Jiang Jiujiu's words. Everyone, huh? Ah, she's a little cute. In the live stream, the netizens were also a little surprised as they didn't expect Jiang Jiujiu to say such a thing. You want me to make you bald? That's not necessary. I'm getting involved, my scalp is starting to hurt. Even if you want to make me bald, you have to make me bald. Everyone, look at your heads. Do you have any hair left? Dog head, dog head. All of a sudden, the comments section was filled with the silly netizens insulting each other. However, there were still some people who refused to give up. The angrier Jiang Jiujiu was, the more smug they were. They were sarcastic and sarcastic. They would say whatever they could to infuriate her the most. Jiang Jiujiu clenched her fists tightly, wishing she could go online and beat those bastards up. A clear and gentle voice saved Jiang Jiujiu's bad mood in time. Jiujiu, can I wear these pajamas? It was E. That realization made Jiang Jiujiu calm down. She turned around and saw that Xiangyi had picked up 2 pajamas, one of which was pink and white with rabbit ears, and the other was creamy yellow with bear ears. Xiangyi remembered everything she said casually. Jiang Jiujiu suddenly felt less angry. What's the point of being calculative with fools? They're already very pitiful for being brainless. It's all right. Despite saying that, Jiang Jiujiu quickly went to take a shower, and then changed into the pajamas with bear ears. Before going to the living room, she paused in her tracks and turned back to pick up her violin case. Beside the bookshelf, Xiangyi was flipping through a book on archery. When she saw Jiang Jiujiu coming out with a violin, she smiled and asked, "What song do you want to play?" Jiang Jiujiu corrected her. "What song should we play?" With a serious expression, she asked, "Can we play together?" Of course, Xiangyi wouldn't disagree with such a small request from her best friend. "Sure, shall we go to the violin room then?" All of a sudden, the pop-up comments were full of mockery. "Please, she's the chief of Orpheus. Are you worthy? A student of folk music shouldn't embarrass herself in front of a student of classical music." Wasn't Jiang Jiujiu defending Xiangyi just now? Why did she change her mind again? Asking Xiangyi to perform with her is like asking the clouds in the sky and the mud on the ground. There was no camera installed in the piano room, so Li Jinyu hurriedly asked the cameraman to go over. "Wan Qing, you're that assured? Aren't you afraid that Xiangyi will screw up?" Li Jinyu said casually, "I admit that I'm gambling, but I think Sister Yi will let me win." He did not believe in himself, but he believed in Ruan Qing. Ruan Qing raised her eyebrows. She did not say anything, but her gaze was fixed on the screen. In the piano room, the members of the Xiang family all knew 1 or 2 musical instruments. There was a wide variety of musical instruments in the zither room. In addition to the perennial Western instruments, there were also zither, flutes, and other traditional instruments. Seeing Xiangyi wandering around the traditional instruments, the spicy tutu girls were worried for her. However, they saw her skimming past the traditional instruments and finally choosing a cello. "Huh. It's not a 3-string or an electric guitar, but a cello?" Someone mocked. "Come on, this is a cello. How dare she choose it just because she knows how to play it?" However, the moment the girl sat down and picked up the bow, her aura seemed to have suddenly changed. Chapter 420. She lowered her eyes, and her long eyelashes cast a faint shadow on her fair face. Her hand that was holding the bow was slender and soft. Her knuckles were slightly protruding, and her pale blue veins were clearly visible. She was low-key, not ostentatious, but elegant and calm. Even though she was wearing cute bunny ears pajamas, she looked like she was holding a cello recital in a gorgeous gown. It had been a long time since she touched the cello. Xiangyi first tried to play it, and then tuned it unhurriedly. Someone retorted, "Is there something wrong with you? What are you delaying for? If you know how to play it, just admit it. What's the point of pretending?" At this moment, a golden pop-up comment appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The golden pop-up comment was a privilege given to the Hall of Fame streamers by the Xingqian app. Generally, those who could enter the Hall of Fame were all famous streamers on the Xingqian app. The person who posted the comment was Little Nocturne, a streamer with 1 million fans in the music section. Little Nocturne. She didn't use any tuner or software to help her, nor did she ask Jiang Jiujiu to play a standard note for her. If she's not pretending, she must have an absolute sense of sound, right? The golden pop-up comment appeared on the screen for 15 seconds before disappearing. Enough for countless netizens to see it clearly. Wow. She's a living nocturne. Nocturne, when are you going to live stream? I want to hear you play the piano. Reflect on how long you haven't live streamed. Why are you watching someone else's live stream? Absolute sense of sound? Sounds impressive. Does the vase fairy actually have such a thing? Little Nocturne, who was in front of the screen, was also a little uncertain. Absolute sense of sound referred to the ability to distinguish the specific pitch of a sound without any reference pitch. This included the sound of rain, thunder, and even the sound of a door opening in nature. In the ears of people with absolute sense of sound, these sounds were like the melodies in a staff. There was no need for deliberate practice. They were born with it. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was a one-in-a-million talent. Even the Orpheus Orchestra that Jiang Jiujie was in, which had gathered the top young performers from all over the world. Not everyone had an absolute sense of sound. However, when Xiangyi finished tuning, Little Nocturne's eyes lit up in front of the screen. She really had it. There was no lack of people who knew music in the live stream. I'm going to kneel down to Sister E. This tone is even more accurate than mine with a tuner. Other things aside, this talent alone is enough to beat all the keyboard warriors here. Go to sleep with your bathwater, okay? No wonder the Sanxian and electric guitar are so awesome. Whoa, Xiangyi, how is this a gift from the heavens? It's like the heavens are chasing after us to feed us. Xiangyi gestured to Jiang Jiujie to indicate that she was okay. Jiang Jiujie nodded, and in the next second, the melodious sound of the violin instantly caught everyone's ears. The chief violinist of the Orpheus Orchestra definitely lived up to his name. Even those who didn't know much about music could feel that Jiang Jiujie's playing was particularly pleasant. A golden bullet screen appeared on the screen of the live broadcast room. Little Nocturne. Such terrifying strength. In reality, Little Nocturne was also a student of a top music academy abroad, and was surrounded by many big shots. Hence he could recognize how strong Jiang Jiujie was. A moment later, the clear and beautiful sound of the violin was mixed with the deep and vigorous sound of the cello. It was the best accompaniment in the textbook, but it instantly made Little Nocturne's scalp turn numb. Chapter 421. It was just like in the vast sea of people. Some people were born with a spotlight that was dazzling and eye-catching. At this moment, the sound of the cello gave off that feeling. It was clearly a foil, but it became an existence that couldn't be ignored. How many instruments does she know? Little Nocturne muttered. For most of the netizens watching the live stream, although they didn't have as sharp a hearing as Little Nocturne, and didn't know much about the techniques of playing instruments, they all had the same feeling. This ensemble is so nice. Unfortunately, I'm uncultured. I can go anywhere with the word F***ck. Ah, Xiangyi can even play the cello. Excellent. Yes, it's nice. For the professionals, it was even more shocking. The song that Jiang Jiujie played was called Prelude to Spring. The rhythm was cheerful, and it was full of the vigorous vibe of early spring. Correspondingly, it was also extremely difficult and had high requirements for the performer's skills. They weren't surprised that Jiang Jiujie could reach such a level. However, Xiangyi, she was a student of traditional folk music, but she actually played the cello so well too. Many people had complicated feelings. They originally thought that Xiangyi was only good at folk music, but they didn't expect her to be equally good at Western instruments. This was simply a heavenly performance at the level of cheating. Besides, she actually went to the entertainment industry instead of using her impressive talent and abilities. What's she up to? How can the professional music students endure that? The song gradually reached the climax, and at this moment, Jiang Jiujie suddenly showed off a relaxed series of bowing moves that were ingenious and full of vitality. Immediately afterwards, she didn't play according to the original melody and instead improvised. Xiangyi looked up and met her gaze calmly in the air. Without saying anything, she changed the finger movements of her left hand while her right hand danced along with Jiang Jiujie's melody. There were almost no pauses and she perfectly matched Jiang Jiujiu's improvisation. Little Nocturne : The golden pop-up comments appeared again with a series of exclamation marks, which was enough to show Little Nocturne's excitement. He immediately jumped up from the sofa and turned on the livestream device that was fixed to the tripod. While listening to Xiangyi and Jiang Jiujiu's improvisation, his slender and fair fingers landed on the black and white keys. The impromptu performance of the two became a trio. Little Nocturne's fans received the notification and clicked on it with great interest. But they were immediately stunned. In the past, Little Nocturne would try his best not to show his face in the live stream, or he would use the special effects of the live streaming software to cover his face with a cartoon avatar. But today, for some reason, his face was shown. In the camera was a boy with a thin figure and snow-white skin. The side of his face was delicate and smooth, like a handsome young man who had walked out of a manga. The most eye-catching part was his hands. His fingers were long and slender, with distinct joints. They were so white that they were almost transparent, but they were wrapped around an old red rope. Following his movements, white and red intertwined, as if it had a bewitching power. The fans. Where did this little angel come from? Debut online. Oh my god, Nocturne's looks are so good that she can kill a lot of idols in the country. Her hands, her face, her piano skills. F***ck. Why does such a beautiful young man have nothing to do with me? After a wave of flattery from the fans, they realized that the serenade seemed to be an accompaniment for someone. Chapter 422. Most of the fans of Little Nocturne were music lovers, so they could easily distinguish the different sounds of the three instruments: piano, violin, and cello. When put together, they were like a small symphony orchestra. The violin's improvisation was spontaneous and natural. The cello's coordination was just right. The piano's addition enriched the timbre and pushed the climax of the ensemble to the peak like the icing on the cake. In the piano room, Jiang Jiujiu closed her eyes and immersed herself in the performance. Soon, she ended the improvisation and skillfully transitioned to the last movement of Prelude to Spring. The light and nimble music was infused with the beautiful aura of spring, and it slowly and gently hit the softest corner of one's heart. When the last note fell, the violin, cello, and piano ended the piece neatly. It was as if someone had pressed the mute button. Everything was silent. The pop-up comments seemed to have been cleared too. However, a few seconds later, the screen was flooded with comments. Did Niwa make me up to make up the numbers? Oh my god. Did you really not rehearse? Did you just improvise? I've been learning the zither for 3 years, and I still can't remember the score even when I play a new piece from time to time. Are these two girls human notation machines? The long-awaited ensemble could be said to be hearty. Jiang Jiujiu panted slightly and looked at Xiangyi. Xiangyi was also staring at her and applauding with smiling eyes. You're so impressive. Jiang Jiujiu suddenly felt a lump in her throat. As a talented child, she had already taken a shortcut compared to ordinary people when it came to learning the zither. However, even geniuses had to work hard to defeat other geniuses. After learning the zither for more than 10 years, it was normal for her fingers to develop calluses and blood blisters. Even her parents and teachers would reprimand her. Xiangyi was different. She would always encourage her gently. You're not bad. Jiang Jiujiu said proudly. You must have not played for a long time. Your skills are far worse than before. I'm too busy. Excuses. They're all excuses. She was clearly more talented than Jiang Jiujiu, but she insisted on cooking. Jiang Jiujiu was exasperated with her. Do you want to consider joining Orpheus? When the contrarians heard this, they were amused. Is the Orpheus Orchestra a place you can go whenever you want? Okay, I admit that she can play the cello, but does Orpheus want her? Don't insult the Orpheus Orchestra. That is the sacred ground in the hearts of young performers. It's not something someone like the vase fairy can tarnish. There was a lot of discussion in the bullet screen, but in reality, Xiangyi's expression was very calm. She shook her head and said, Jiujiu, I want to do what I like. Fame and fortune, applause and slander, she did not need and did not care. because he had lost everything before. He knew what was the most precious. Jiang Jiujiu pursed her lips, feeling a little upset, but she was determined to respect Xiangyi's choice. She pushed Xiangyi out of the piano room. You go out first. I want to be alone for a while. Xiangyi was a little bewildered, but she still nodded and did as she was told. The door was closed and the soundproofing of the piano room was excellent. Jiang Jiujiu was fearless as she moved her face closer to the cameraman's lens. Orpheus invited Yi when she was 15 years old. She doesn't need her eyes, but she can donate them to those in need. My sister is just that outstanding. I'm going to piss you off. Chapter 423. In the live stream, the netizens were stunned at first, but they immediately reacted. Is Jiang Jiujiu insulting the haters? Today's cuteness is a critical hit. What kind of peerless cutie is this? Wow, Missy is really just being arrogant on the surface, but she's actually very protective of Sister E. I'm in love with her. When can I have such a sisterly relationship? Our 8-person dormitory is going to debut in a palace drama. The amount of information in Jiang Jiujiu's words also shocked the netizens. She was invited by the Orpheus Orchestra at the age of 15? Doesn't that mean that Xiangyi is just as capable as Jiang Jiujiu in music? Nuwa, when you created Sister E, you must have meticulously crafted her, given her a free cheat code, maxed out her talent, and even created a few immortal brothers for her, right? Outside the door, after Xiangyi was pushed out, she happened to see Shui, who was by the French window, dressed in cotton sportswear. The man was reluctantly rubbing Xiao Naofu, who was unwilling to be rubbed by him. The reason was none other than the fact that there were no more material. Li Jinyu was now beginning to despise Shui. Without Sister E around, he felt that he was simply too boring. He was either reading a script or a book, which was often mistaken for still images. In desperation, the production team had no choice but to bring Xiao Naofu and little Shiji over so that the audience could at least enjoy the cat. Xiao Naofu and Shui could be said to be disgusted with each other. Shui rubbed Xiao Naofu casually, obviously distracted. Xiao Naofu stuck its buttocks out at him and used its body movements to express its disdain for him. Little Shiji, on the other hand, was docile and obediently nestled beside Shui's feet, dozing off in a daze. Hearing the familiar footsteps, Xiao Naofu broke free from Shui mercilessly and scurried towards Xiangyi. Xiangyi squatted down and caught it. Xiao Naofu rubbed itself against Xiangyi's chest affectionately, and even pressed itself against her cheek in a bid to kiss her. Boom! Xiangyi kissed its forehead and asked softly, "Are you hungry? Do you want some milk powder?" Xiao Naofu glanced at Shui, wagged its tail ostentatiously, and let out a cute meow. See, this stupid woman still loves this Hohu the most. Shui clicked her tongue and reached for her pocket out of habit. However, she quickly realized that he had quit smoking. He pressed the space between his eyebrows, feeling slightly irritated. Suddenly, a transparent and exquisite candy jar appeared in front of him. It was filled with lollipops. Here, fruit-flavored. The girl had a good voice. It was warm and soft, but not overly sweet. Shui thanked her, and watched as she proceeded to make some goat milk powder for Xiao Naofu and little Shiji. Hugging the candy jar, he smiled happily and seductively. He raised his eyebrows at Xiao Naofu and lazily provoked. "Kitty, what should I do? I have candy but you don't." Xiao Naofu let out a ferocious roar. Meow. In the live stream. This is the kind of couple that men should love. He's really giving out candy. Untimely sweetness is crying. That last syllable of yo is really asking for a beating, ha ha ha. In the director's office, Li Jinyu stared at Shui in disdain with a look of disdain. Look, if Sister E doesn't show up, it's just a still screen. As soon as Sister E shows up, he's a horny dog. Just when he thought that Shui was horny enough, he slowly picked up the kitten and asked with a chuckle, "Do you want a kiss, kitty?" Xiao Naofu shuddered with horror in its eyes. "Damn it, don't come over, stupid woman, come and save me." Chapter 424. It tried its best to push Shui away with its furry paws, its resistance written all over its body. However, Shui deliberately misinterpreted its meaning. You want a kiss? Tsk, you're so clingy, Xiao Naofu barked angrily. Woof woof woof. A certain best actor, who had easily angered the kitten into barking, blinked his long eyelashes and teased. You don't want it? You're such a hypocritical kitten. Do you want a kiss on the face or? He deliberately tapped Xiao Naofu's mouth with his slender and fair finger. Xiao Naofu trembled even more violently, and its fur stood on end. Would I be embarrassed to bully Sister E? Would I bully a kitten? Of course. I wouldn't. The man's pale and thin lips were perfectly curved. Perhaps because he had just drunk some water, they were moist and glossy. He leaned over an inch closer to the soft kitten bit by bit, as if he was in slow motion in a movie. I don't know who to be envious of. God, let me have Xiao Naofu's soul. Ha 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 ha, Xiao Naofu really doesn't know how lucky he is. Wait, didn't Sister E kiss Xiao Naofu just now? If Shui kisses it, wouldn't that be equivalent to indirectly kissing Sister E? Damn. Damn. Xiao Naofu was about to be kissed by him. Woof. Little Shiji bit Shui's pants fiercely and hostilely. Shui paused and glanced at the little Shiba Inu on the floor. Little Shiji was instinctively a little afraid of him, but its courage was commendable. Woof woof woof. Shui seemed to be deep in thought, and let go of Xiao Naofu with a smirk. Xiao Naofu scurried away so quickly that it left afterimages. It nestled at the kitchen door and stared in Shui's direction vigilantly. Little Shiji chased after it, and lay down beside Xiao Naofu, licking its fur to appease it. At this moment, Xiangyi came out with 2 bowls of goat milk powder and asked in bewilderment, Why are you guys here? Xiao Naofu looked up aggrievedly and complained with its chubby face. Meow meow. Stupid woman, dog-like men are bad. Xiangyi placed the bowl on the ground and coaxed it for a while before walking towards Shui. Xiao Naofu, she said helplessly. Shui chuckled. I was just teasing it. The production crew? The netizens? Are you human? You're so calm and composed. You're worse than little Shiji. Xiangyi saw that the script from last time was still on the coffee table in front of him. She asked curiously, Haven't you thought about it yet? Shui pondered for a moment and said, Actually, I wanted to ask you if you're interested in acting in a movie. Xiangyi was stunned. Ha. The Tashio Tashiji Tzian Itu. Best to be. To activate. She's just a variety show star. She doesn't have any representative works, yet she wants to reach the top in a single bound? Men are indeed creatures who think with their lower bodies. They have no bottom line when it comes to young and beautiful women. Hey, that's not how resources should be given. Xiangyi's acting skills in the TV series previously shocked me so much that I still have lingering fears. Don't worry, you can take your time to think about it. At most, he wouldn't take on the role. It was inevitable that there would be regrets in life. Shui was quite open-minded about such matters. Recalling Si Chuanbai's call just now, he said, By the way, Brother Si wants me to tell you that you have to film a variety show in the next 2 days. Coincidentally, the official Weibo account of National Mass Workout happened to announce the news almost at the same time as Shui. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.